Chapter 154. Qin Wentian sped through this space. At this moment he was in a mountainous region, and he couldn't see anyone. He really wanted to find someone to understand the situation here, but those people he met earlier seemed to be repelling him. Hence, he wouldn't be able to get any useful information from them. However, since the Azure Emperor allowed him to come here to retrieve the war beast spirit, there must be a deeper meaning behind it. Suddenly, Qin Wentian felt a surge of coldness. Turning his gaze over, he saw a gigantic python. Not only that, this python had a pair of wings on its back and a horn on its head, giving off an extremely terrifying feeling. Dual-winged horned python, ranked 360th in the War Beast Index, and also last. Qin Wentian's gaze froze. He saw a war beast, and it was actually one of the War Beast Index's existences. This spirit beast testing ground was truly a wondrous place. The body of the dual-winged horned python floated in the air, its eyes filled with malice as it stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian could clearly feel the hatred in its eyes. There were many demonic beasts in the 9 heavenly layers, and these demonic beasts could be found in their original forms. Nobody knew if these demonic beasts first appeared on the 9 heavenly layers, or if these demonic beasts first appeared on the 9 heavenly layers. Maybe those experts at the peak of humanity would be able to unravel the mysteries within. The wings of the dual-winged horned python flickered as it floated in the air. Its long tongue flicked out, and its gigantic body dashed towards Qin Wentian with terrifying speed. At this moment, the dual-winged horned python was as terrifying as an enraged dragon. Qin Wentian's countenance turned heavy as his aura erupted forth. The forgotten imprint of the 1,000-hand imprint blasted out, colliding with the horn of the dual-winged horned python. The palm imprint was actually shattered into pieces. The terrifying impact caused Qin Wentian to retreat. This dual-winged horned python was a demonic beast at the peak of the 6th grade, comparable to a cultivator at the peak of the arterial circulation realm. After Qin Wentian was forced back, the dual-winged horned python didn't stop its actions. Its gigantic tail swept out with terrifying speed. Qin Wentian stepped out with exquisite steps and used the 9th Heaven Rock skill. His speed was as fast as lightning, and he avoided the sweeping tail. Ooh! The double-winged horned python opened its bloody mouth and spat out several earth spears that pierced towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian seemed to have the shadow of the rock's wings behind him. He stepped into the void and leaped into the air, dodging the spear and heading straight for the double-winged horned python. Kill! Qin Wentian spat out a sharp sword, as beams of terrifying sword light slashed outwards. The double-winged horned python spat out another mouthful of air, and the earth spears appeared once more. Its gigantic body directly smashed towards Qin Wentian. With its terrifying speed, sharp feelers, and its gigantic body, if Qin Wentian were to be struck by its feelers, even if he didn't die, he would be heavily injured. His astral soul erupted forth. The astral heavenly hammer appeared in Qin Wentian's hands as he madly swung it about. The mountain-type divine energy within his stellar meridians erupted forth as the astral heavenly hammer smashed downwards. The double-winged horned python let out a terrifying roar, and the astral heavenly hammer in Qin Wentian's hands was shattered into pieces. However, this strike had also caused the double-winged horned python to tremble uncontrollably. Qin Wentian took another step forward, landing on its head, after which, the falling mountain palms frenziedly blasted towards the head of the double-winged horned python. Thunderous rumbling sounds reverberated through the air, as the gigantic body of the double-winged horned python slammed into the ground. Its body gradually turned illusory. Is this the spirit of a war beast? Qin Wentian saw that the body of the double-winged horned python had actually turned illusory. A whirlpool appeared in his palms as he imprinted it onto the head of the double-winged horned python. The whirlpool devoured the illusory spirit of the double-winged horned python as a terrifying demonic qi gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body. At the same time, a demonic light flickered in his eyes. Is this a spirit of consciousness? After Qin Wentian devoured the spirit of the double-winged horned python, he could feel the spirit of a war beast attached to his body. This feeling was extremely intense. The double-winged horned python ranked at the bottom of the War Beast Index is actually so powerful. How strong would the war beasts ranked in the top 10 be? Qin Wentian was extremely shocked. Not only that, the double-winged horned python astral soul was condensed from the constellation of the 4th heavenly layer. If there was a summoning-type stellar martial cultivator, the strongest double-winged horned python they could summon would be at the Heavenly Dipper realm. And as for this double-winged horned python, its strength was suppressed to the pinnacle of the arterial circulation realm. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze, only to see a beautiful silhouette staring at him from afar. Her beautiful eyes flickered. It was none other than the female that had spoken to Qin Wentian earlier. "Are you really someone from the Nine Mystical Palace?" That beautiful silhouette slowly walked forward, clad in a sky-blue cloak. "No," Qin Wentian replied. "What about you? Who are you?" "How laughable. Since you know that this place is the spirit beast testing grounds, you actually don't know who we are?" The young lady stared at Qin Wentian, her tone as cold as ice. The first batch of people who had the qualifications to enter the spirit beast testing grounds were the 36 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns. Only the sects and clans they belonged to could enter, and after that, the keys of many of them were either destroyed or snatched away by others. Now only the 9 transcendent powers can enter. "You actually don't know who we are?" "I'm not very familiar with the Grand Xia Empire," Qin Wentian replied. "Seems like the Chu country was really too small. What level of power does the 9 Mystical Palace belong to in the Grand Xia Empire?" Qin Wentian inquired. The Grand Xia Empire has boundless territories, with millions of cities. Among them, the 9 continents is the most powerful, and there are several transcendent powers in the 9 continents. These transcendent powers govern the boundless territories of the Grand Xia Empire. The young lady emotionlessly replied, "The 9 Mystical Palace is one of the transcendent powers in the Qing continent, and they govern several small countries." Qin Wentian seriously listened, and combined with the map Mustang gave him, he had a rough understanding of the Grand Xia Empire. So it turned out that the Chu country was merely a subsidiary country of one of the transcendent powers in the Qing continent. Indeed, in the perspective of the entire continent, the Chu country was simply too small. The power she belongs to, the Green Cloud Pavilion, is also a transcendent power in the Qing continent. Not only that, when compared to the 9 Mystical Palace, it can only be stronger, not weaker. A voice drifted over from afar. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over, only to see a group of silhouettes walking over. "Yu Qingfeng, are you guys here to reunite?" The young lady smiled as she stared at the newcomers. These people were none other than members of the Azure Emperor Palace. "Can't I?" Yu Qingfeng laughed, before shifting his gaze onto Qin Wentian. "I know where you came from." Qin Wentian stared at Yu Qingfeng, as a strange light flickered in his eyes, waiting for Yu Qingfeng to continue. "A place named the Emperor Star Academy." Yu Qingfeng spoke, causing Qin Wentian's eyes to flicker with a strange light. "And you are?" "I'm Yu Qingfeng, a member of the Azure Emperor Palace. You probably don't know who the Azure Emperor is, right? The Azure Emperor's original name is the Azure Emperor, a character from thousands of years ago. He single-handedly created the glory of the Azure Emperor Palace, and was ranked first among the 36 Heavenly Dippers." Yu Qingfeng spoke, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. The Azure Emperor, ranked first among the 36 Heavenly Dippers. The Azure Emperor was also the founder of the Emperor Star Academy. "I'm none other than Qin Wentian from the Emperor Star Academy." Being able to meet someone from the Azure faction here, Qin Wentian naturally felt a sense of closeness. One could say that the Azure Emperor Palace and the Emperor Star Academy shared the same roots and origins. "Brother Qin, the Spirit Beast testing grounds is extremely dangerous. Why don't we travel together? At least we can take care of each other. What do you think?" Yu Qingfeng straightforwardly spoke. Qin Wentian nodded his head. He had wanted to find someone to ask about the Spirit Beast testing grounds and what was going on. "Qian Mingyu, do you want to come along?" Yu Qingfeng stared at the young girl as he asked. "No thanks," the young girl indifferently replied, before turning and departing the area. "You obtained a beast spirit earlier?" Yu Qingfeng stared at Qin Wentian. "Yes. What's the use of a beast spirit?" Qin Wentian curiously asked. In the past, there was a supreme existence that sealed the 360 war beasts in the war beast testing grounds. The beast spirits here aren't the true bodies of the war beasts, but rather the consciousness of the war beasts. It's rumored that these war beasts were summoned from the 9 heavenly layers, and by seizing those beast spirits, you would be able to easily sense the location of the astral souls of the astral beasts in the 9 heavenly layers. Yu Qingfeng explained to Qin Wentian, "You should understand that after breaking through from the arterial circulation realm to the Yuanfu realm, one would be able to condense a third astral soul. Generally speaking, one would only be able to condense an astral soul from the third heavenly layer. For those with exceptional talent, they would be able to condense an astral soul from the fourth heavenly layer. However, it's not so easy to find and condense an astral soul from the war beast testing grounds." Similar to the effects of Yuan meteor stones? Qin Wentian seemed to have understood. The effects are many times stronger compared to Yuan meteor stones. For those who could only condense an astral soul from the third heavenly layer, their consciousness would only be able to stay in the fourth heavenly layer for a short period of time. With the existence of the beast spirits, there's a high possibility that they would be able to condense an extremely powerful astral soul from the third heavenly layer. Yu Qingfeng continued to explain. To stellar martial cultivators, the temptation of a beast spirit was extremely great. Understood. Qin Wentian nodded his head. Brother Qin, you should have seen how powerful the war beasts are earlier. The true bodies of these war beasts hate us to the extreme, and they want to devour us whole. Hence, if we were to encounter the top-ranked war beasts, we would be in grave danger. As for the top 10 war beasts, they are simply invincible existences. Yu Qingfeng continued, hence, we hope that we can gather our strength to deal with the war beasts together. I understand. Qin Wentian nodded his head in agreement. The group of them continued their journey, as they continued their training. And at this moment in the Chu country there were many shocking news being circulated. Qin Wu of the Qin clan had actually escaped from the Black Stronghold. The guards of the Black Stronghold had suffered heavy casualties, causing the entire royal capital to tremble. The Black Stronghold was rumored to be a secret prison, and the security was extremely tight. However, Qin Wu had actually managed to escape unscathed, causing people to feel that there was an undercurrent brewing in the dark. At the same time, the two famous martial academies of Chu, the Royal Academy and the Godly General Martial Palace, announced their merger. In this way, there were signs that they were going to contend against the Emperor Star Academy. And in reality, they were indeed going to contend against the Emperor Star Academy. Chapter 155. On the day of the merger between the Godly General Martial Palace and the Royal Academy, there was news that the Crown Prince of Snowcloud was going to marry the Princess of Chu. The Princess of Chu had a high possibility of becoming the Crown Princess of Snowcloud. However, Xiao Lok didn't give up just like that. At the same time, he sent people to the Emperor Star Academy, saying that Qin Yao was a candidate for the Crown Princess of Snowcloud, and they had to bring her back. Naturally, the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't allow it. Hence, the royal clan of Chu personally came to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. Such a situation caused the sharp-witted crowd to smell the scent of danger. The royal clan of Chu wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy, and this wasn't the biggest change. On the second day after Qin Wu was rescued, news circulated from the battlefield. The royal clan launched a ferocious attack, and at the same time, experts attempted to assassinate Qin He and Qin Yi. As for the ending, Qin He lost an arm, and both of his arms were destroyed. If it weren't for the help of a mysterious expert, he would have already died in battle. Not only that, there were also rumors circulating that the various armies stationed at the borders of Chu were preparing to make a move, and that they had already set off for the royal capital. Their slogan was, "The Chu Emperor is tyrannical, killing the loyal, annihilating the good generals. When the rabbits die, the dogs roar." The news of Qin Wu being sentenced to death by the emperor began to spread throughout the Chu country, causing a huge commotion in the hearts of the people. In addition to what the royal clan had done to the Qin residents in the Sky Harmony City, it was as though the royal clan was tyrannical, and the country had to change owners. The only news that was beneficial to the royal clan was that the Snowcloud country had sent out their troops to guard the borders of Chu, preventing any invasions. At the same time, it was as though they were telling the other countries that the Snowcloud country was now an ally of Chu. The major characters in the royal capital could truly smell the scent of a storm. They didn't expect that an unexpected event like the June Lin banquet would cause such a terrifying chain reaction. With regards to the storm outside, Qin Wentian, who was in the spirit beast testing grounds, had no idea. After staying here for a day, he gradually familiarized himself with the testing grounds. There were many war beast spirits here, and all of them were extremely powerful. He also understood that the trial grounds were not a real world. He was the same as the demonic beasts. He was a dream consciousness, and a wisp of his consciousness had entered the trial grounds with his dream. Not only could he devour beast spirits, but the battle beasts could also devour his consciousness. At this moment he joined hands with Yu Qingfeng and the others to kill another beast. The ranking of this war beast wasn't weak. It was ranked 241st in the War Beast Index, the Flower Rock Cheetah. If one was able to condense an astral soul from it, one's entire body would be able to transform into a solid rock, increasing one's defense to a terrifying level. Not only that, one's speed and attack power would also be extremely strong. Brother Qin, I still have 3 people on my side. After they have devoured the beast spirits, it will be your turn next. After all, you have already obtained your own beast spirit. Yu Qingfeng said to Qin Wentian. This was already the 5th beast they had killed. No need, I wish to travel alone. Qin Wentian replied. After traveling together for a day, although Yu Qingfeng was still extremely courteous to him, he could faintly sense that although these people from the Azure Emperor Palace were from the same faction as him, they still looked down on him. Subconsciously, there would be hints of arrogance in their eyes. After all, although they were from the same faction, their statuses were completely different. They came from the Azure Emperor Palace, while he came from a small country. This point could be seen from the way they divided the war beast spirits. However, Qin Wentian didn't say anything. He had no way to change the views of others. At most he would travel alone. Brother Qin, you should understand that the spirit beast testing grounds is extremely dangerous. Yu Qingfeng persuaded. I will be careful. Qin Wentian casually replied. Since that's the case, I won't obstruct Brother Qin any longer. Just don't waste your life because of a moment of anger. Cooperation is originally for the sake of benefits, it's just a matter of priority. Yu Qingfeng added. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows. The words of Yu Qingfeng clearly had a hidden meaning. Without saying anything more, Qin Wentian turned and departed. How reckless! A student from the Emperor Star Academy, we didn't even know that we saved him, yet he still wants to sit on the same level as the Azure Emperor Palace. I wonder why the Azure Emperor established such an academy back then. A person beside Yu Qingfeng impolitely commented. He didn't suppress his voice, allowing Qin Wentian to hear him clearly. Increasing his speed, Qin Wentian once again traveled alone. Although he knew that if he separated from those from the Azure Emperor Palace, the dangers would be much greater, but he wasn't willing to become a lower existence. Qin Wentian arrived at a vast grassland, with a mountain range in front of him, but at this moment he could clearly sense danger approaching. In front of him a demonic beast slowly walked out from the mountain range. It was a great rock, its entire body radiating a resplendent silvery light, and its eyes were as sharp as ice. Silvery rock. Ranked number 98 in the War Beast Index. Qin Wentian's eyes narrowed. This was the first time he had encountered a war beast that was ranked within the top 100. Not only that, he could feel a sense of danger from behind him. Turning back, he saw a gigantic demonic bear that emanated a terrifying demonic chi. The body of this demonic bear seemed to be clad in a suit of silver armor. Even its claws were silver in color. Silver-armored Bear King. Ranked number 97 in the War Beast Index. Qin Wentian's gaze froze. These 2 war beasts were ranked near the top, and were both incomparably tyrannical. To think that he would actually be caught in a pincer attack. How unlucky! Bizizizi. His body was like a great rock. Qin Wentian madly fled to the side. The silvery rock flapped its silvery wings, transforming into a silvery bolt of lightning. Its speed was even faster than Qin Wentian's, while the hooves of the silver-armored Bear King shook the earth, emitting terrifying rumbling sounds. Its speed wasn't any slower than Qin Wentian's. A demonic beast ranked in the top 100 of the War Beast Index was definitely a terrifying existence. The silvery rock had already hovered in the air above Qin Wentian. An ancient halberd appeared in his hands. Although this wasn't the real world, there wasn't much difference between it and the real world. In the real world, the ancient halberd had always been hidden in his interspatial ring. Poochie! The silvery rock spat out a silvery sword light, lunging towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian abruptly halted his steps. He lifted his palms and blasted out a palm imprint, colliding with the silvery sword light spat out by the silvery rock. A raging wind gusted as the silvery rock's sharp claws directly smashed downwards, aiming for Qin Wentian's head at lightning speed. Qin Wentian's ancient halberd slammed out with the mountain splitter stance, colliding with the silvery claws of the silvery rock. The sound of metal clashing rang out. How powerful! Qin Wentian saw the silvery rock being forced back, and his arm also felt numb. At the same time, the earth trembled, and the gigantic body of the silver-armored bear king leaped up, slashing out with its razor-sharp claws. Falling mountain palms. Qin Wentian slammed out with his left palm as his divine energy frenziedly erupted. However, his body was directly flung through the air as he slammed heavily onto the ground. His arm felt as though it was on the verge of shattering. The combat prowess of a warbeast ranked within the top 100 in the Warbeast Index was simply too tyrannical. The fallen Qin Wentian hadn't escaped from danger yet. The silvery rock swooped downwards, its silvery sword piercing out in a frenzy. Its cold eyes seemed capable of killing. If I die, I won't have such a chance anymore. Qin Wentian silently mused. As long as he died, he would lose the qualifications to enter the refinement grounds. Most probably Luo Tianya had died in here as well. Hence, he hoped that his son Luo Qianxiu would be able to enter here. The berserk beast halberd art Xuanwu stance was impenetrable to the wind and rain. Qin Wentian's blood seemed to be boiling as his body grew larger. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he stabbed out with the ancient halberd in his hands. The silvery rock collided with the bear king once again. But this time around it was forced back into the air. Cracks could be seen on its silvery claws as though they had been shattered. However, Qin Wentian's situation was even worse. The silver-armored bear king once again unleashed another attack. Scram! The forgotten imprint was pushed to its limits, and was infused with the power of Qin Wentian's bloodline. With a thunderous boom, the gigantic body of the silver-armored bear king was forcibly blocked. However, Qin Wentian was once again sent flying through the air. Top 10? Azure Emperor, you are truly ruthless. If he wanted to step into the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, he had to plunder the spirit beasts ranked within the top 10 in the Warbeast Index. He didn't even dare to imagine how ferocious the top 10 beast spirits were. Not only that, the constellations they represented were all from the 5th heavenly layer. If he could condense an astral soul from them, how terrifying would that be? In the future, when he broke through to the Heavenly Dipper realm, he would be able to summon his Heavenly Dipper warbeast. The two warbeasts once again launched their attacks towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian wiped the traces of blood from the corner of his mouth as his silhouette flickered. He executed the Garuda movement technique to its limits, and at the same time, his ancient halberd and palm imprints erupted forth in a frenzy. But very quickly he was riddled with injuries. Under the encirclement of the two warbeasts, it was only a matter of time before he died. At this moment a raging wind gusted by as a silhouette clad in blue appeared. A sharp sword appeared in her hands as she directly slashed towards the silver-armored rock. The sword chi collided with the claws of the silver-armored rock, but the sword chi wasn't extinguished. Instead, the sword intent of the silver-armored bear king was reborn. The pressure on Qin Wentian instantly lessened as he focused on dealing with the silver-armored bear king. Without the assistance of the silver-armored rock, although the attacks of the silver-armored bear king were ferocious, its agility was lacking. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he slashed out with his halberd, causing the silver-armored bear king to suffer a series of setbacks. The battle here continued on for quite some time. Two groups of silhouettes appeared, but they didn't rush forward to help. Instead, they surrounded the silver-armored bear king, Qin Wentian, and Qian Mengyu within a certain range. They were the group that wanted to deal with Qin Wentian the first time, as well as Yu Qingfeng and those from the Azure Emperor Palace. When the silver-armored rock saw this, it soared into the skies. It had the ability to soar through the air, and these people wouldn't be able to catch up to it. However, the silver-armored bear king continued its frenzied attacks. Qian Mengyu stared at Qin Wentian as she spoke. Give it up. Even if you defeat it, don't even think about obtaining the beast spirit. Qin Wentian naturally saw the group of people glaring at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. His eyes flickered as he retreated. He was truly unwilling to give up at this point in time. Pucci. Abruptly, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd pierced into the eye of the silver-armored Bear King, causing it to howl in rage. However, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd was still in its eye, and very swiftly, the silver-armored Bear King's silhouette gradually turned illusory. With a flick of his palm, Qin Wentian's inscriptions appeared, transforming into a vortex that swallowed the beast spirit. The demonic aura he exuded grew stronger and stronger, as his long hair fluttered in the wind. Truly a fellow that doesn't know the immensity of death. Those from the Azure Emperor Palace had expressions of ridicule on their faces when they saw that Qin Wentian still dared to swallow the beast spirit. So what if he swallowed it? Everyone here was a consciousness body. As long as they swallowed Qin Wentian's consciousness, the beast spirit in his body would be swallowed as well. Chapter 156. Qin Wentian's ink-black hair fluttered in the wind. He turned his gaze onto Qian Mengyu as he asked, "What you used earlier, was it the 9 swords of life?" Qian Mengyu had a strange expression on her face as she stared at Qin Wentian. "How did you know?" Qin Wentian said that he came from a small country, so how did he know about the 9 swords of life from her green cloud pavilion? "I've seen people using the 9 swords of life before," Qin Wentian replied. This set of sword art was one of the 4 divine inscription diagrams that belonged to Gong Yonghong. Qin Wentian and Gong Yonghong had speculated that this sword art was cultivated by the woman Gong Yonghong loved. However, Qin Wentian didn't know the exact details. "Many thanks for your help earlier." Qin Wentian thanked Qian Mengyu. "You better think about what to do first." Qian Mengyu stepped away. Although Qin Wentian was able to recognize the 9 swords of life, she wouldn't go so far as to help Qin Wentian. It was rare for her to enter the spirit beast testing grounds, and she naturally didn't want to die in there. Qin Wentian cast a glance at the situation around him. Indeed, it was going to be extremely difficult. Bzzz. Abruptly, Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as the illusory wings of a Garuda flickered in and out of existence. His entire person soared into the air as he retreated in the direction of one of the gaps, only to see 2 figures dashing out, blocking his path of retreat. Qin Wentian's speed didn't slow down in the slightest. Executing the mountain splitter, he lunged towards one of them. Pucci. A light sound rang out as the silhouette of that person turned illusory. The ancient halberd directly pierced through his skull, while at the same time, Qin Wentian blasted out a palm imprint to his left. Boom! A powerful force was transmitted into his palm. Qin Wentian borrowed the force of the impact to soar into the air, leaping out like a Garuda. When he landed, he was already outside of the encirclement's perimeter. What an exquisite 9 heavenly Garuda movement technique. It's definitely at the perfect level of the arterial circulation manual. The countenances of the experts from the Azure Emperor Palace changed when they saw this scene, after which they too stepped out akin to Garuda rocks. As for the devilishly handsome young man and the rest, they were all from the Sky Demon sect. At this moment, a pair of demonic beast wings appeared on their bodies. Every step they took caused the sound of the wind to howl. Their speed was actually extremely fast. What guts! The people from the Sky Demon sect are not to be trifled with. Upon seeing this, Qian Mengyu also stepped out and chased after Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was very clear that the people here weren't arterial circulation realm cultivators from Chu. Against ordinary cultivators at the peak of arterial circulation in Chu, he could easily kill them. But for the people in the spirit beast testing grounds, any one of them could be considered as the cream of the crop in Chu. This was especially so for that demonic young man. After fighting against him once, Qin Wentian could already sense that the strength of his opponent was no small matter. He wasn't so blindly confident that he would be able to deal with the encirclement of his opponents with his cultivation base at the 8th level of arterial circulation. Hence, he could only execute the Garuda movement technique to flee. After reaching the grand completion of the arterial circulation manual of the 9 heavenly Garuda movement technique, his speed wouldn't lose out to anyone else. The number of people who could chase after Qin Wentian grew fewer and fewer. The demonic young man from the Sky Demon sect, Yu Qingfeng from the Azure Emperor Palace, and Qian Mengyu from the Green Cloud Pavilion were 3 of them. Along the way they met another group of experts. When they saw this scene, it was as though they had sensed something as well, as they chased after Qin Wentian. In front of them there was a river. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he soared into the air, akin to a great rock soaring through the air, directly landing on the opposite side of the river. The others all chased after him, each displaying their own innate techniques as they crossed the river. Very quickly, Qin Wentian dashed into a patch of forest, causing the countenances of the pursuers to turn unsightly. They had so many experts, yet they had no way to catch up to Qin Wentian. With so much time, Qin Wentian should be able to hunt and kill quite a few war beasts. What they didn't know was that at this moment, Qin Wentian's heart was filled with rage. He had merely devoured a single beast spirit. There were many beast spirits in this training ground, and there were even some that were ranked higher than the ones he had devoured. Yet these pursuers were so overbearing. At the end of the forest, there was a stone mountain with a waterfall cascading down from it. On the left and right side of the mountain there were lakes. This was a place where there was no path of retreat. Qin Wentian halted his steps as he heard the whistling sound of wind behind him. The demonic young man from the Sky Demon sect was the first to catch up to him, stopping not too far away from him. The shadow of a great rock appeared on Yao Shang's back. His gaze was demonic and cold as he took a step forward, as a gentle palm strike blasted out once again. Bzz, Qin Wentian's ancient halberd pierced out with lightning speed. Yao Shang's palms trembled as demonic qi erupted forth. His palms transformed into a gigantic bear's paw as they slammed out, colliding with the ancient halberd. His movements were incomparably gentle, and at the instant he struck out, he dashed towards Qin Wentian, brushing past the ancient halberd as he dashed towards Qin Wentian. A demonic glow radiated forth, enveloping Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian didn't retreat. The aura of his sovereign's descent bloodline erupted forth as he slammed out with his palms, akin to a true mountain peak crashing down. Pung! A terrifying hurricane swept through the air as the two of them retreated at the same time. Qin Wentian's arterial pathways trembled as his heart pounded madly. The innate techniques of his opponent were both powerful and bizarre. Yao Shang also took a step back as a strange look flashed in his eyes, after which the coldness in his eyes grew even stronger. A towering demonic qi erupted forth as scales appeared on his arms. His eyes flickered with a demonic light as the wings on his back glowed even brighter. At this moment he was akin to a terrifying demonic being. A raging wind gusted by as Yao Shang lunged towards Qin Wentian once again. Fallen Star Stance. The ancient halberd in Qin Wentian's hands erupted forth with a terrifying might, as a terrifying vortex appeared in front of him. Yao Shang's palms slammed out as a terrifying boom reverberated through the air. His silhouette flickered as he evaded the strongest attack of the Fallen Star Stance. His entire person transformed into a series of afterimages. Die! Yao Shang's arms elongated as his palms transformed into sharp claws, piercing straight towards Qin Wentian's head. The ancient halberd in Qin Wentian's hands trembled as he spat out a beam of sword light. With a howl of rage, his left palm blasted out with the falling mountain palms. Their attacks collided in a frenzy as Qin Wentian's body was violently forced backwards. Even after activating the power of his bloodline, he was still forced to retreat. Staring at the silhouette in front of him, Qin Wentian could feel that Yao Shang's bloodline was also boiling. That was the bloodline of a beast. Those behind him all followed behind, and upon seeing that Yao Shang had yet to kill Qin Wentian, they all had strange expressions on their faces. This young man who had stepped into the spirit beast testing grounds out of the blue had a strength that was truly shocking. Boom! At this moment the earth trembled as the hearts of the crowd shuddered. They stared in front of them, feeling as though the mountain was moving. Rumbling sounds rang out as the gigantic boulders on the mountain fell down like a waterfall. The rumbling sounds grew increasingly terrifying as a terrifying demonic qi permeated the air. Roar! A thunderous roar rang out as the earth split apart. The lake water on both sides of the waterfall churned violently as a terrifying demonic beast soared up into the skies, creating a gigantic wave. This demonic beast had the body of a python coiled around the waterfall. It was unknown how long it was, but its body was covered in scales, with sharp spikes protruding out of it. Its arms were thick and muscular, and it had 5 claws on its palms that were curved like hooks, cold and sharp. At this moment, the long whiskers of this demonic beast stood on end as it roared in rage. Its sharp fangs caused fear to rise in the hearts of the onlookers, and it was many times more terrifying than a python. The blue-scaled flood dragon, ranked number 9 in the War Beast Index. The hearts of the crowd trembled as they stared at this terrifying demonic beast. The reason they came to the spirit beast testing grounds was because they wanted to obtain the spirit of the top 10 ranked beasts. However, the combat prowess of the top 10 demonic beasts were all terrifying. They were invincible existences at the arterial circulation realm. There are so many powerful demonic beasts. If I devour its spirit in addition to my powerful perception, would I be able to sense the location of the blue-scaled flood dragon astral soul in the 5th heavenly layer? Qin Wentian's heart trembled. If his conjecture was correct, then he had already decided which astral soul he should choose for his 3rd astral soul. There were many demonic beasts in the War Beast Index, and the beast spirits of these demonic beasts could allow one to sense the existence of a demonic beast astral soul. However, no matter what kind of astral soul it was, how could it be compared to a summoning-type astral soul? However, Qin Wentian understood that summoning-type stellar martial cultivators were exceedingly rare. This was because the difficulty of becoming one was exceedingly high. If one didn't have enough talent, the summoning-type astral soul would be useless. To many people, summoning-type astral souls were trash astral souls. However, there were some genius summoners in the continent who possessed the ability to summon astral souls. At this moment, Qin Wentian had the thought of becoming a summoning-type stellar martial cultivator. Not only that, this thought was extremely strong. In the future, when he summoned his astral souls, all sorts of demonic beasts would descend from the heavens, roaring and howling as they protected him. How beautiful would that be? Naturally, this thought remained in his heart. At this moment, what he needed to do was to face the situation in front of him. The Flood Dragon ranked number 9 in the War Beast Index wasn't something that the Silvery Rock ranked number 90 could compare to. The Flood Dragon raised its head arrogantly, staring down at the human in front of it. Its pair of demonic sharp eyes flickered with an intense killing intent. Busy. Abruptly, the body of the blue-scaled Flood Dragon moved. Its gigantic body instantly appeared in front of Qin Wentian as it slammed out with its thick arms. Its terrifyingly sharp claws were capable of ripping apart mountains. Yet at this moment, it was aiming for Qin Wentian's body of flesh and blood. Qin Wentian's bloodline power surged frenziedly as he executed the fallen star stance. The ancient halberd howled in rage as it slashed towards the sharp claws of the Flood Dragon. Pung! Qin Wentian's body was directly flung through the air as his blood and qi churned wildly. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood as the ancient halberd in his hands trembled uncontrollably. How powerful! Qin Wentian's heart trembled. Clearly, the Flood Dragon was also a 6th-level demonic beast, but how could it be so powerful? Was this the tyrannical strength of the top 10 ranked war beasts in the War Beast Index? It seemed like the difficulty of ascending to the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion wasn't so high. The Azure Emperor had stated that if one wanted to ascend to the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion, they had to plunder the spirit of the top 10 ranked demonic beasts. This test was indeed many times more difficult compared to obtaining the champion of the Junlin Banquet. He was able to obtain the champion of the Junlin Banquet, but even if he was stronger, it would still be extremely difficult for him to slay the top 10 ranked war beasts. From this, one could see the difficulty of the two tests. In that case, what did the Azure Emperor leave behind in the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion? Chapter 157. Yao Shang didn't intend to continue fighting against Qin Wentian. What he was facing now was a war beast ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. If he could kill it, he would be able to condense an astral soul from the 5th heavenly layer and condense one of the top 10 astral souls in the War Beast Index. An intense ambition brewed in Yao Shang's heart. On the contrary, the fear he felt was much fainter. After all, in the spirit beast testing grounds, even if he died, only his consciousness would be destroyed and he wouldn't be able to enter again. To the people of Sky Demon Palace, even if their lives were in danger, they would still choose to take the risk for the top 10 war beasts in the war beast chart. How about we work together this time? Yao Shang spoke to Yu Qingfeng, Qian Mengyu and the rest. The eyes of the crowd flickered. It wasn't impossible for them to work together, but even if they managed to kill the Flood Dragon, Who would be the one to obtain the final reward? If one of them managed to obtain the spirit of the flood dragon, they would definitely be hunted down by the others. Not long ago, Qin Wentian only managed to obtain the spirit of a war beast ranked in the 90th plus, yet he was already being hunted down. You, what do you think? Yu Qingfeng asked a young man beside him. This young man was clad in a robe with constellations inscribed on it, exuding a sense of transcendence. This young man was from the Venerate Heavens sect. The rankings of the 36 heavenly dippers were determined by the Venerate Heavens sect. In the Granxia Empire, the rankings of the Venerate Heavens sect were the most authoritative. Their rankings of Wuxiu had influenced many countries in the Granxia Empire, even spreading to the Chu country. Hence, there was a ranking of the 10 prodigies of the royal capital. Let's work together. Yi Yu nodded, her eyes gleaming with sharpness as she stared at the flood dragon. The group of people spread out, releasing their astral souls as they surrounded the flood dragon. The blue-scaled flood dragon king roared in rage as it rushed towards Yao Shang. The beast's blood in Yao Shang's body seemed to be boiling as demonic qi towered up into the skies. The wings of the great rock flickered as his body transformed into a beam of light that shot towards the blue-scaled flood dragon king. Puchi! The blue-scaled flood dragon king's sharp claws did not hit Yao Shang. Yao Shang's body flashed in the air, and he found a tricky angle to rush to the front of the flood dragon king's head. His agility shocked even Qin Wentian. However, the blue-scaled flood dragon's reaction was also extremely fast. It opened its giant mouth and bit forward, wanting to swallow the opponent in one gulp. Buzz! A resplendent sword light blossomed as Qian Mengyu soared into the air. Numerous sharp swords containing an inextinguishable aura frenziedly pierced into the gigantic mouth of the flood dragon king. This scene caused the blue-scaled flood dragon to close its mouth. At the same time, Yao Shang's palm transformed into the exploding bear paw and slammed down on the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Originally, Yao Shang and Qian Mingyu had nothing to do with each other, but their teamwork was extremely exquisite. Their timing was incomparably precise. The head of the blue-scaled flood dragon reared backwards. Yao Shang's attack power was absolutely terrifying, and there was also the effect of vibrations. For a moment, the flood dragon king felt a little dizzy. It lifted its gigantic tail and lashed out, the spikes on its body resembling sharp swords. Yu Qingfeng also dashed out. His movement technique was also the Garuda movement technique from the 9 heavenly realms, allowing him to evade the attacks of the gigantic body as he dashed towards the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Yi Yu did the same as well. When they attacked, it was as though they had reached some sort of tacit understanding. All of them aimed their attacks at the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. If the first attack didn't kill it, they would do it a second time. If the second attack didn't kill it, they would do it 8 times, 10 times. All of them are elites. If it was just one of them, they definitely wouldn't be a match for the blue-scaled flood dragon. But when they join forces, the power they can unleash isn't as simple as adding each other's strength together. When they attack together, the strength of the blue-scaled flood dragon has no way to unleash its full power. Qin Wentian watched on as this fascinating battle unfolded. The green-scaled flood dragon roared in madness as its gigantic body abruptly spun in the air. With a single gulp, it lunged towards Qian Mengyu, allowing the others to attack its body. Die! Qian Mengyu's palms trembled as her astral soul erupted with resplendent sword light. Numerous sharp swords transformed into beams of light as they frenziedly slashed out. The head of the blue-scaled flood dragon slammed forwards, but the sharp swords only managed to leave a few traces of blood on its forehead, unable to injure it at all. Qian Mengyu's body spun in the air, wanting to retreat. But at this moment, the blue-scaled flood dragon had already gone berserk, madly chasing after her, ignoring the frenzied attacks of the others. It had to kill one of them first. This human who loved to stab its mouth with swords was simply too annoying. Qian Mengyu's countenance grew unsightly as she saw the crazed pursuit of her opponent. Although her silhouette was as fast as the wind, how could it be compared to the speed of her opponent's attacks? Very soon, she wouldn't be able to evade the attacks of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Qin Wentian stood not far away from Qian Mengyu. His countenance was incomparably cold as he witnessed this scene. Over here, Qin Wentian called out to Qian Mengyu. Qian Mengyu's lithe figure sprinted in the direction of Qin Wentian, while the body of the blue-scaled flood dragon shuddered unceasingly. Yet, it refused to give up its pursuit. Just as it was about to catch up to her, it opened its ferocious maw and ferociously bit out, wanting to tear Qian Mengyu apart with a single bite. Bzi. A raging wind gusted by as Qin Wentian executed the Garuda movement technique to the extreme. His body actually dashed into the mouth of the blue-scaled flood dragon. A ruthless glint flashed in the eyes of the blue-scaled flood dragon as it abruptly snapped its jaws shut. Its sharp fangs gleamed with a cold light, as though it could directly crush Qin Wentian into pieces. Woo! A howl of agony rang out, as Qin Wentian's silhouette was like the wind as he retreated from the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced right through the jaws of the flood dragon as it tried to close its jaws. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced right through the jaws of the flood dragon. Success. Qin Wentian watched as the tail of the blue-scaled flood dragon violently lashed out, causing it to howl in agony. His silhouette was like a phantom as he dashed towards the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. His falling mountain palm slammed downwards, and the terrifying force of the impact caused the ancient halberd to penetrate even deeper into the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon. Do it! The others all rushed over, frenziedly attacking the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon. The tip of the ancient halberd pierced out from the top of the head of the blue-scaled flood dragon, while the tail of the blue-scaled flood dragon grew weaker and weaker. This fellow is really lucky. The hearts of the spectators mused. Qin Wentian's luck was truly not bad. He actually managed to insert the ancient halberd into the jaws of the blue-scaled flood dragon, causing the ancient halberd to be stuck there, thus giving them an opportunity to take advantage of. The body of the blue-scaled flood dragon gradually turned illusory as it transformed into a beast spirit. Qin Wentian retrieved the ancient halberd, and at the same time his palms trembled as he prepared to devour the beast spirit. However, the others also did the same. The top 10 ranked beast spirits in the War Beast Index. Everyone wanted to fight for them. Roar! The beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon let out a terrifying roar as it lunged towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian only felt his consciousness trembling violently as his body turned illusory. Only after retreating with explosive speed did his body return to its original state. Qin Wentian's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold. The consciousness of the blue-scaled flood dragon had already transformed into a beast spirit, yet it was still so tenacious, directly launching an attack on his consciousness. After all, although his body was made of flesh and blood, it was still a body of consciousness. If his consciousness wasn't as strong as his opponent's, he would similarly be destroyed. The roar shook the heavens and earth. Qianmingyu, Yaoshang and the rest were also forced to retreat. Their countenances were extremely unsightly to behold. They had never met such a tough beast spirit before. Towering amounts of beast blood gushed forth from Yaoshang's body, engulfing the beast spirit. Bzizi, the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon, rushed out, its cold eyes staring down at the crowd. Even if it was only a body of consciousness, there was no way it could devour it. The consciousness of the blue-scaled flood dragon was simply too tyrannical. Its eyes coldly stared at Qin Wentian. It was precisely this person who had destroyed its body. Roar! With a howl of rage, the consciousness of the beast spirit actually dashed towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian only felt his consciousness being shaken. A vortex appeared in his palm, and at the instant the beast spirit arrived in front of him, the vortex trembled violently, wanting to swallow it whole. However, that pair of ice-cold eyes stared fixedly at him, shaking his will, causing Qin Wentian's body to turn illusory. Yao Shang and the rest didn't step forward to help Qin Wentian when they saw this scene. Qianmingyu's eyes flashed with anxiety, but she had no idea how to deal with this tyrannical beast spirit. Vile beast, you still dare to be so arrogant with just a strand of your consciousness remaining? Qin Wentian's eyes were ice-cold as he stared at the beast spirit. Releasing his great dream astral soul, he abruptly brought the beast spirit into a dreamscape. In the dreamscape, Qin Wentian sat high up in the sky, like an emperor looking down at the tyrannical beast spirit. Vile beast, submit to me! Qin Wentian roared in rage. His voice was like a bolt of lightning from the clear skies, blasting down onto the body of the beast spirit, causing it to tremble violently. It was only a consciousness of a beast spirit. It had no way to resist the corrosion of Qin Wentian's dreamscape. Dreamforce was a battle of wills. making the other party believe that it was real. How could a mere strand of consciousness be able to resist against it? In the external world, the silhouettes of the beast spirits gradually turned illusory, as though they were slowly being corroded by Qin Wentian. The tyrannical beast spirits seemed to have lost their temper, as though they were about to obediently submit to Qin Wentian. What's going on? Their gazes were fixated on the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon. It was becoming more and more illusory, as though it would vanish at any moment. This caused a sense of unease to well up in their hearts. Could it be that this fellow could swallow the beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon for himself? Bzzz. The beast spirit of the blue-scaled flood dragon transformed into a wisp of green smoke and entered Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's demonic aura grew increasingly demonic as his black hair fluttered in the wind, exuding a demonic aura akin to that of Yao Sheng. Not good, he's using his consciousness to exit the testing grounds. Yu Qingfeng anxiously shouted. When he was with Qin Wentian, he remembered that Qin Wentian had casually asked him how to exit the testing grounds. Yu Qingfeng didn't think much of it and simply told Qin Wentian that as long as he gradually separated his consciousness from the testing grounds, he would be able to return. However, he needed a certain amount of time to do so, and it was impossible to do so during combat. If not, he would have already been killed. However, Qin Wentian seemed to be making use of the time. He needed to devour the beast spirit to prepare to exit the testing grounds. Yao Sheng and the rest also discovered this. Their bodies dashed forward, only to see Qian Mengyu's silhouette flickering as sword lights swept through the air, blocking their path. Qian Mengyu, what are you doing? Yu Qingfeng coldly snorted. Killing the blue-scaled flood dragon is his credit. There's nothing wrong with him devouring the beast spirit, Qian Mengyu coldly replied. Get out of my way. Yao Sheng took a step forward. There's no more time. Yi spoke in a low voice. After which they only saw Qin Wentian's silhouette transforming into an illusory beam of light, completely disappearing from the testing grounds. This scene caused their countenances to turn extremely unsightly to behold. Qin Wentian, along with the beast spirit of the rank number 9 blue-scaled flood dragon, had left. Chapter 158. In the 7th level of the Emperor Star Academy, Qin Wentian's eyes abruptly opened as a demonic light flashed in his eyes. His entire demonic aura exuded a demonic aura. Qin Wentian didn't make any movements as his consciousness returned to him. He could feel that he had brought back the will of the demonic beasts. At this moment, his consciousness was filled with a tyrannical and violent will, devouring the will of the demonic beasts. Can I really sense the existence of the astral souls of demonic beasts in the 9 heavenly layers? Qin Wentian murmured in his heart as he closed his eyes and slowly devoured the will of the demonic beasts. After which he slowly stood up. The door opened and Qin Wentian slowly walked out, exiting through the door. My will automatically withdrew and wasn't destroyed. If there's a chance, I still want to enter. Qin Wentian stared at the door. Back then, Luo Tianya wasn't as lucky as him, and his will was destroyed. Hence, he hoped that his son Luo Qianqiu would be able to fulfill his wish and enter the 8th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. What a pity what Luo Qianqiu failed to accomplish was accomplished by him, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze onto the 2nd door. According to the notes of the Azure Emperor, as long as he could obtain the top 10 ranked demonic beasts in the War Beast Index, he would be able to enter the 8th level. In that case, he should be able to meet the requirements. Lifting his feet, Qin Wentian walked towards the 2nd door, only to see that there were several diagrams engraved on the door. These diagrams were none other than the top 10 ranked demonic beasts in the War Beast Index. How do I enter? An expression of contemplation appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Anyone who came here could enter the 1st door. But the 2nd door was tightly shut. Invade the corresponding demonic beast's will. A voice drifted over. Qin Wentian turned his head, but there was no one behind him. The owner of this voice should be the guardian of the 7th level of the Heavenly Star Pavilion. It was as though guarding this level was his eternal mission. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze back, staring at the diagram of the green-scaled flood dragon. After which, a demonic light flashed in his eyes as the will of the beast gushed into it. An instant later, the door began to slowly open. It's open. Qin Wentian stepped into the door. Above his head, there were several diagrams of demonic beasts that glowed with a resplendent light, as though they had a life of their own. In this space there was also a praying mat. Qin Wentian walked up to it and sat down cross-legged. The astral light in the air started to flow towards his body. Upon seeing such a miraculous scene, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. That flowing light seemed to contain an ancient memory within. That was the memories of the Azure Monarch. Everything in the world cultivates regardless of humans or demons. It's just that there are differences between humans and demonic beasts. Demonic beasts are gifted in certain aspects, such as their physical bodies and defense. However, humans' ability to comprehend far surpasses that of demonic beasts. That's why humans are able to create all kinds of powerful techniques and powers to fight against the attacks of demonic beasts and break through their strong defenses. They are the favored children of heaven and earth. After demonic beasts grow stronger, they would break through to the heavenly Dipper realm and gain the ability to transform into a human, just like the human Wu Xiao. Demons are also pursuing the path of humans, but ultimately, they don't have the innate talent of humans. Even if a demon transformed into a human, they still wouldn't be able to perfectly combine the advantages of both. In that case, if one wants to pursue the path of perfection, there's only one way to do so: cultivating demonic energy. If there's a human Wu Xiao who has the tyrannical physique and defense of demonic beasts, he could use the body of a demon to unleash the innate techniques he's proficient in. In that case, how much more powerful would he be? This memory seemed to be a rhetorical question, yet Qin Wentian's heart pounded with excitement. What a crazy idea, using a human as the foundation to cultivate demonic energy. Actually, among the human Wu Xiao there's already someone who can do this. And that person is none other than the human Wu Xiao who possesses a demonic beast astral soul. An astral soul bestows this possibility upon them, allowing them to possess the savagery of demons. But ultimately there's still a limit to this. However, this can be used as a foundation. If you want to unleash the full potential of a human using demonic energy, you must first have an extremely powerful demonic beast astral soul. If not, there's no meaning to it. As the voice drifted into his ears, Qin Wentian finally understood why the prerequisite to entering this door was to obtain a demonic beast spirit, ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. He hoped that the person who entered this door would be able to condense an astral soul from a demonic beast, ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. Only then would the Wu Xiao be able to absorb the tyrannical demonic energy from the astral souls. After which, a series of memories frenziedly flowed into Qin Wentian's mind, as the glow of light above his head gradually dimmed. After a long period of time, Qin Wentian finally finished absorbing the memories. When he opened his eyes, a sharp glint of light could be seen flickering within. In his mind, 3 words resounded unceasingly. Fiend Transformation Art. What a revolutionary cultivation art. What a bold creation. Great waves of shock rocked Qin Wentian's heart. He felt an indescribable sense of respect towards the creator of this cultivation art. Too awesome. The powerful Wu Xiao of the human race was truly too terrifying. He remembered the final words left behind by the Azure Emperor. Back then I obtained the Fiend Transformation Art by chance, and was deeply shocked by it. I knew that if this cultivation art were to be leaked out, I would definitely be hunted down by the Celestial Palace. Hence I chose to cultivate it in secret. Unless my life was in danger, I would never use the Fiend Transformation Art. But if there was a day when I died, wouldn't it be my sin? Hence, although I wouldn't impart the Fiend Transformation Art to the descendants of the Azure Emperor Palace in order to avoid calamity, I'm also unwilling to let the Fiend Transformation Art be lost. Qin Wentian understood that the Fiend Transformation Art was similar to the Spirit Refinement Method. Once it was made known to others, it would definitely bring him a calamity. Luckily, the Spirit Refinement Method was a cultivation art that allowed one to condense one's divine energy. At the very most, they would only wonder why his attacks were stronger than others. There were 3 levels to the Fiend Transformation Art. The first level, the Fiend Body Realm. By simulating the circulation of demonic qi in the meridians of demonic beasts, one would be able to forge a tyrannical physique similar to that of demonic beasts. The Fiend Body Realm, not only would one's fleshly body reach the demonic level, one would also need to strengthen one's internal organs to be as tenacious as demonic beasts, exuberant with vitality. At the same level, the vitality of demonic beasts was much more tenacious compared to humans. The second level, the Fiend Advent realm. By using the yuan energy of powerful demonic beasts as the support, one would be able to condense a terrifying demonic body, akin to a demonic beast. At this level, it would be best if one had a powerful beast-type astral soul. The third level, the Fiend Transformation realm. At this level, one would be able to easily transform into a demonic beast, perfectly combining the innate talents of both humans and demonic beasts. One would be able to grow the wings of a great rock, roaming the universe, or transform into a demonic dragon, shaking the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath, as waves of emotion surged in his heart. The Azure Emperor had actually left behind such a tyrannical cultivation art in the second level. No wonder the prerequisite for entering the third level was to obtain a war beast ranked in the top 10 of the War Beast Index. From Qin Wentian's point of view, even the war beasts ranked in the 9th or 10th rank would be insufficient in front of the Fiend Transformation art. It would be best if one could condense a war beast ranked in the top few ranks of the War Beast Index. Only then would one's demonic energy be even more tyrannical, more suitable for cultivating the Fiend Transformation art. However, this caused Qin Wentian to be placed in a difficult position. Initially, he wanted to condense a summoning astral soul, but to cultivate the Fiend Transformation art, a powerful war beast astral soul would be more suitable. Let's not think about it for now. Qin Wentian didn't bother thinking about it. Instead, he started to cultivate the first level of the Fiend Transformation art. The creator of the Fiend Transformation art had an extremely deep understanding of the breathing techniques of demonic beasts, and thus created a unique breathing technique. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and calmed his heart as he cultivated. His breathing was erratic, sometimes manic, sometimes slow, before finally reaching a state of equilibrium. As he breathed in and out, his heart pounded, as the astral energy circulated within his lungs. It was as though every time he breathed, his internal organs would throb at the same time, and the throbbing of his heartbeat was extremely intense. Gradually, Qin Wentian entered into a marvelous state. He didn't realize that the blood in his body was boiling, circulating through his veins and meridians, as though it was coordinating with his breathing exercises. 2 days later, when Qin Wentian woke up, he discovered that his cultivation this time around had undergone an astonishing transformation. He couldn't help but feel bewildered. Could it be that he was so talented that he was extremely suitable to cultivate the Fiend Transformation art? It's time to leave. Qin Wentian stood up and left the Heavenly Star Pavilion. Cultivating the first level of the Fiend Transformation art required a huge amount of cultivation resources. After exiting, he instructed the Sky Transport Network to send a letter to Francis, telling him to handle this matter. After which, he continued his closed-door seclusion, focusing all his attention on his cultivation. Above the 9 heavenly layers, Qin Wentian's will arrived at the 5th heavenly layer. In front of him, there was an extremely resplendent demonic beast constellation in the shape of a flood dragon, hovering in the air, laughing arrogantly. Within the constellation, a terrifying amount of demonic beast yuan energy could be felt. Indeed, it's so easy to find this constellation. Qin Wentian understood. No wonder so many disciples from the transcendent powers wanted to enter the spirit beast testing grounds. Once they obtained a powerful beast spirit, they would be able to condense a tyrannical war beast astral soul. Outside the place where Qin Wentian was in closed-door seclusion, Fatty Fanlu, Qin Chuan and Qin Yao were present as well. "Uncle, is Wentian still cultivating?" Fanlu asked Qin Chuan. That fellow is really hard-working. He just came back from the Heavenly Star Pavilion, and now he's in closed-door seclusion again. He should have received some sort of inspiration. Qin Chuan replied. Currently, there were many things weighing on his heart. He could clearly see the changes in the Chu country, and his emotions were extremely complicated. Given his intelligence, he naturally understood that his father had been hiding something from him, and it was something extremely important. But now, there was no way for him to exit the Emperor's Star Academy. Those from the royal clan were all watching over him. Currently, the royal clan had given him and Qin Yao an immense amount of pressure, and the Emperor Star Academy was the one bearing all of it. But now, the royal clan already wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy. This powerful academy, which the royal clan had always been unable to control, had already become a thorn in the side of the royal clan. The Nine Mystical Palace was located in one of the 9 great continents of Grand Xia. Today, there were many from the 9 Mystical Palace riding on demonic beasts, heading towards the Chu country. Other than the 9 Mystical Palace, there were also other transcendent powers in the Qing continent, such as the Green Cloud Pavilion. The Green Cloud Pavilion towered into the clouds and was built on top of the 9 mountain peaks. Numerous majestic halls stood in the midst of the misty clouds, resembling a celestial realm. At this moment, in a certain location within the Green Cloud Pavilion, a young lady stood there. This young lady was elegant and cold, and although she was young, she already possessed a great amount of charm. "Miss, do you have any instructions for me?" A person stood in front of the young lady, respectfully asking. "Help me investigate if the 9 Mystical Palace has a small country named Chu under their jurisdiction. If there is, investigate this person named Qin Wentian." The young lady was none other than Qian Mengyu. That fellow was able to snatch away the spirit of a war beast ranked 9th in the War Beast Index. Although it could be said that luck played a huge part in it, it also caused her to be extremely interested in him. She wondered if he would enter the spirit beast testing grounds again. Chapter 159. The yearly sacrifice day had already passed, and the Chu country welcomed a new year. However, at the start of the new year, the people of the Chu country didn't have a peaceful time. The flames of war had already been ignited, and the entire Chu country was filled with the smoke of war. Many of the troops stationed at the borders of the Chu country had already raised their banners to oppose the royal clan of Chu. Nobody would have thought that the peaceful Chu country would be rocked by such a terrifying wave in just a few short days. The authority of the royal clan of Chu was already wavering, on the verge of collapse. Those with more experience could naturally tell that the flames of war that were ignited in a few days wasn't something that could be accomplished in a day or two. Most probably, the royal clan had already been preparing for many years, and was only waiting for a single command from a certain location. Only then would the Chu dragon guards be able to attack with lightning speed, not touching the citizens of the Chu country, and not killing the troops that had submitted to them. In the Chu country, the cultivators of the Chu country didn't care much about the concept of the royal clan. The royal clan was the strongest power in the Chu country, and that was all. Hence, they didn't care who was the ruler of the Chu country, as long as it didn't touch them. Hence, nobody dared to anger the citizens of the Chu country. If all the Wuxiu in the Chu country were to unite, even the royal clan would collapse. Hence, although the flames of war were blazing within the borders of Chu, there were still many youths with good talent rushing towards the direction of the royal capital. This was because the various martial academies in the Chu country were about to start their recruitment drive. This was a chance that they had been waiting for over a year. Compared to the royal clan, they were more concerned about their own future in the martial path. And to those with outstanding talent, choosing between the Emperor Star Academy or the Royal Academy became a difficult choice. After the merger of the Royal Academy and the Godly General Martial Palace, the strength of the Royal Academy was comparable to the Emperor Star Academy. Not only that, the conflict between the two academies was already an open matter. As the youths of the Chu country gathered in the royal capital, a piece of news was transmitted from the royal capital. Today, the newly merged Royal Academy would bring along their most outstanding disciples to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. This news instantly swept through the royal capital, attracting the attention of countless people. This visit was extremely important to the decision of the youths. Today, Qin Wentian ended his closed-door seclusion. Although Francis had sent over many precious materials, it was still insufficient for him to cultivate the fiend transformation art. To cultivate the fiend transformation art, the requirement for demonic cores was exceedingly high. But luckily, what made Qin Wentian happy was that he discovered that he was extremely suitable to cultivate the fiend transformation art. It was as though this cultivation art was specially prepared for him. Even his blood seemed to be filled with an indescribable excitement. Qin Wentian inscribed a divine inscription painting, and at the same time, sent a letter to the Divine Weapon Pavilion. He believed that the divine inscription painting would allow him to obtain the resources he wanted. Walking into the courtyard, Qin Wentian took in a deep breath of fresh air. A white silhouette flew towards him, directly leaping into his embrace. "Little rascal, did you miss me?" Qin Wentian rubbed Little Rascal's head as he smiled. Little Rascal's big eyes stared at Qin Wentian, as a smile appeared on its face. It was extremely adorable. "Wentian." Qin Chuan and Qin Yao walked over upon seeing Qin Wentian exiting his closed-door seclusion. "Father, sister." Qin Wentian had a smile on his face, and upon seeing Qin Chuan's furrowed brows, he asked, "Father, is there something on your mind?" "Wentian, during these few days when you were cultivating, many things happened in the Chu country." Qin Yao pulled Qin Wentian to the side and sat down, as she recounted everything to Qin Wentian. After hearing Qin Yao's words, Qin Wentian's heart shuddered as he fell silent. Seems like Grandpa Qin had long since prepared for this. Qin Wentian sighed. For the past year he had been working hard, wanting to rescue his father and Grandpa Qin. But in reality there was no need for him to act. Qin Wu and Qin Chuan would be fine. "Wentian, I have no idea about this matter. Your grandpa hid it from me," Qin Chuan stated. "The struggle for power, that's how it is. If ancestor Qin Wu was harmed by the Emperor of Chu, and Grandpa Qin didn't do anything, the Qin clan could only be trampled on by others. This is what a man of character should do." Qin Wentian murmured. "I'm afraid there's something fishy about the death of ancestor. If not, based on Grandpa Qin's strength, there's no way he would be able to cause so many people to rebel. Only ancestor Qin would have such prestige," Qin Chuan stated. "As long as one lives in this world, it's best to live with a clear conscience. How can we allow ourselves to be played by others?" A smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. The royal clan of Chu had never been a good bunch. Yes, if the Qin clan didn't rebel, they would only be waiting for death. Qin Chuan stood up as he heroically stated. He didn't place much importance on the loyalty of the Qin clan. Leaving aside how Qin Wu died, just the fact that the Emperor of Chu suppressed the Qin clan and forced them to move out of Sky Harmony City was already enough. If they rebelled, so be it. At this moment, the sound of footsteps drifted over from the courtyard. Qin Wentian and the rest turned their gazes over, only to see Fatty Fan Lu walking over. Upon seeing Qin Wentian, he couldn't help but feel joy as he stated, "Boss, you've finally completed your cultivation." Today, Chu Tianjiao brought a group of people to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy, and even threatened to bring Sister Qin Yao away. That trash is truly too arrogant. What bullshit visit? He's here to provoke us. What a joke. Who is Sister Qin Yao to them? How can they bring her away just because they want to? And they even use this as an excuse to pay a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. Qin Wentian was enraged. Leaving aside the fact that the Crown Prince of Snowcloud had betrayed Qin Yao, even if he didn't betray her, so what if Qin Yao didn't agree to be together with him? Could it be that just because he was the Crown Prince of Snowcloud, he had to force himself on her? Wasn't Xiao LV placing his position a little too high? Think so too. How arrogant. Let's hope the Emperor Star Academy would be able to suppress their arrogance a little. "Boss, let's go take a look together," Fan Lu said to Qin Wentian. "Right." Qin Wentian nodded his head. "I'll go as well." Qin Yao stepped forward and pulled on Qin Wentian's hand. Qin Wentian looked at Qin Yao as he laughed. "Fine. What does this Crown Prince of Snowcloud count for? Is he even worthy of my sister? How dare he be so arrogant? Yes, in the future, my younger brother would definitely be more outstanding compared to this Crown Prince of Snowcloud." Qin Yao's smile was filled with hints of mischievousness. Qin Chuan, seeing how close the relationship between the siblings was, had a gratified expression on his face. In his entire life, the things he was most satisfied with were these two children of his. Although Qin Wentian was only his foster son, Qin Wentian's position in his heart was in no way inferior to Qin Yao's. Qin Wentian was like a son to him. The news of Chu Tianjiao bringing the newly merged Royal Academy to pay a visit was already known to everyone. Naturally, the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't obstruct them and opened the gates to welcome them. This was a provocation and they could only accept it. In the central arena of the Emperor Star Academy, there were already many people gathered. Many students were discussing amongst themselves. Today, they saw many outstanding Yuanfu seniors of the Emperor Star Academy. Normally, these Yuanfu seniors would rarely appear in the academy, but at this moment many of them were here. Evidently, The newly merged Royal Academy had given the Emperor Star Academy an immense amount of pressure. From afar, a group of silhouettes walked over. These silhouettes were all youths around 20 years of age, each of them exuding an extraordinary aura. Those who knew the inside story understood that this time around, not only did the newly merged Royal Academy come, there were also a few geniuses from Snowcloud as well as the silhouettes of the 9 mystical palace. This gave the Emperor Star Academy an immense amount of pressure. At this moment, Old Gu, who was seated in the spectator stands, furrowed his brows as he stared at the approaching silhouettes. This time around, the situation didn't seem too good. With such a lineup, it would be extremely difficult for the Emperor Star Academy to deal with them. Wentian, you're here. At this moment, Old Gu noticed that Qin Wentian was walking over, and he couldn't help but smile. Qin Wentian could be said to be the most outstanding student he had seen ever since he joined the Emperor Star Academy. Naturally, he was fond of Qin Wentian. Old Gu. Qin Wentian walked to his side, before turning his gaze to Mustang and bowing, "Teacher, come sit beside me." Old Gu smiled, intentionally giving up a seat for Qin Wentian, causing those below to feel a wave of envy. Currently, Qin Wentian's status in the academy had already exceeded that of an elder. Back then, when he was assassinated, the entire academy was in a state of panic, and in the end Qin Wentian even killed Zhang Zhan on the spot. "In that case, Wentian shall be impudent," Qin Wentian humbly replied, as he sat beside Old Gu. "I'm really waiting to see when you can be impudent." Old Gu stroked his beard, as he looked at Qin Wentian and laughed. "That granddaughter of mine is extremely mischievous nowadays. When will you be able to tame her for me?" Qin Wentian froze as he blinked his eyes. "Why? Are you unwilling?" Old Gu put on a straight face, pretending to be angry. "No." Qin Wentian hurriedly replied. "Aha, that means you have such thoughts. I'll tell my granddaughter about it another day." Old Gu hurriedly spoke, causing Qin Wentian's countenance to stiffen. After which, a bitter smile appeared on his face, as he had fallen into the trap of Old Gu. "Old Gu, you are really—" Qin Wentian was somewhat speechless. "What's wrong with that? In my opinion, Wentian, you and Miss Mo are quite compatible." Qin Yao, who was standing at the side, laughed. "Right, even your elder sister has said so." Old Man Gu also smiled happily, and his furrowed brows also relaxed. At his age, seeing that the younger generation was young and talented, if they could find a good home, that would be the happiest thing for him. Chu Tianzhao of the Royal Academy pays his respects to the elders of the Emperor Star Academy. At this moment, a voice drifted over, instantly ruining Old Gu's mood. His countenance turned cold as he turned his gaze over, only to see Chu Tianzhao bringing a group of people over to the spectator stand. Although these people came with ill intentions, they didn't forget their etiquette. They all bowed in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy, showing their respect to the elders. "May I know what identity the third prince is using to come to the Emperor Star Academy?" Old Gu stared at Chu Tianzhao as he asked in a clear voice. "The Crown Prince of Snowcloud, Xiao Lvl, came to the Emperor Star Academy to escort Qin Yao back to her country. However, he was obstructed time and time again. As the host, I have no choice but to pay a visit. I would like to plead with the elders not to interfere in this matter, as it would affect the friendship between the Chu and Snowcloud countries. Not only that, the words of a lowly person like Chu are not enough to influence the decisions of the elders." Chu Tianzhao politely replied, not letting out a single drop of water. "He came here in the name of the third prince, as well as in the name of the Royal Academy." Chapter 160. Old Gu stared at Chu Tianzhao as he laughed. "I don't quite understand your highness's words. Crown Prince Xiao Lvl wants to bring Qin Yao back to Chu. Does Qin Yao agree to this? How can the engagement of the Crown Prince of Snowcloud be a joke? Even if Qin Yao has some objections, she has to return to Snowcloud first." Chu Tianzhao calmly replied. "You mean that even if Qin Yao doesn't agree, Snowcloud will still forcefully bring her back as a concubine? Not only that, Chu is willing to be an accomplice?" Old Gu countered. "This old man has lived for so many years, but this is the first time I've heard such a despicable act spoken of in such a manner. What's even more unbelievable is that it came from the mouth of the Crown Prince of Chu." Could it be that the royal clan of Chu has already fallen to such a state? Old Man Gu's words were sharp, especially the last sentence, as though he was implying something. Currently, the royal clan of Chu was at the heart of the storm, and the rumors of Qin Wu being sentenced to death were still spreading. Yet, Old Man Gu had pinned such a big hat on Chu Tianjiao, causing people to sigh in admiration. Even Chu Tianjiao didn't expect Old Gu's words to be so sharp. A cold glint of light flashed in his eyes. Old Gu's words, how can a person be untrustworthy? Marriage is a joke? Coming from the mouth of an honorary elder of the Emperor Star Academy. I, Chu, am truly ashamed. How ridiculous, when did I ever have a marriage engagement with Xiao LVL? Seeing how Chu Tianjiao kept mentioning the marriage agreement, Qin Yao couldn't help but be enraged. I only agreed to interact with Xiao LVL, and we don't even have any substantial relationship. Yet you're saying that I've already become his accessory? Old Gu coldly snorted. Chu Tianjiao, did you hear that clearly? The important point is that the people of Snowcloud already know about the marriage between Qin Yao and Crown Prince Xiao LVL. That's enough. What a load of nonsense. Qin Wentian couldn't help but shout, according to the logic of the third prince, if I start a rumor today, saying that the Princess of Chu has a marriage engagement with me, Qin Wentian, wouldn't the Princess of Chu have to marry me the next day? Impudent. Who do you think you are? How can you be worthy of the imperial princess? Zikong Mingyue's gaze was as sharp as a sword as he stared straight at Qin Wentian. What kind of status does the crown prince Xiao Lu have? Since the news of Qin Yao and the crown prince's relationship is already known by everyone, how could she not return to Snowcloud? That's what you think. In my eyes, be it the Princess of Chu or the Crown Prince of Snowcloud, what do they count as? How can they be compared to my elder sister? Qin Wentian looked at Zikong Mingyue as he sneered. As for you, a loser, you still dare to act so arrogantly. As he spoke, a look of disdain flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes. Qin Wentian had seen many memories from the astral being. He had seen the dream of spring and autumn. He had also received the inheritance of the Azure Emperor and had gone to the Spirit Beast testing grounds to temper himself. How could his horizons be limited to Chu and Snowcloud? The world outside was extremely vast, and the crown princes of Chu and Snowcloud didn't count for anything. In the entire 9 continents, they were nothing more than ordinary commoners. His view of the so-called geniuses had also changed. Zikong Mingyue was one of the most talented geniuses in the entire Snowcloud country, but even so he was still weaker than Luo Qianqiu. However, when compared to the geniuses in the Spirit Beast testing grounds, Luo Qianqiu could only be considered ordinary. In this way, he would be able to remind himself not to belittle himself, but also not to get carried away, thinking that he was a genius. He, Qin Wentian, was only a member of this boundless continent. He didn't have the qualifications to look down on others, but he also didn't need to look up to others. He could only take one step at a time, relying on his will and determination to advance steadily. Zikong Mingyue was humiliated by Qin Wentian in public. His sword intent gushed forth as he dashed towards Qin Wentian as he roared in rage. Let's fight again. You are not worthy. Qin Wentian calmly stared at Zikong Mingyue, his eyes filled with disdain. That arrogant look in his eyes caused the killing intent radiating from Zikong Mingyue to grow even more intense. Only then did Zikong Mingyue's aura calm down. However, Chu Tianjiao continued, there's no point in talking too much. Today, the Royal Academy is paying a visit to the Emperor Star Academy. I have 5 Yuanfu cultivators on my side, and they wish to seek guidance from the outstanding students of the Emperor Star Academy. Why don't I see 5 from the Royal Academy? Old Gu glanced at the other party. Yi Wuk, first level of Yuanfu, invites Cho Mo of the Emperor Star Academy. Yi Wuk replied. He was ranked number 5 among the 10 prodigies, while Cho Mo was ranked number 4. Wang Tung, second level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Green Cloud Association, Ling Hua of the Emperor Star Academy. A silhouette stepped out, exuding a powerful aura. First Sword, second level of Yuanfu, invites the honorary elder of the Emperor Star Academy, Rain. Wu Chong, second level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Azura Association, Dui Dao. Xiaolan, third level of Yuanfu, invites the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association, Shuelingfeng. Beside Chu Tianjiao, the 5 silhouettes all spoke. In an instant, an intense aura gushed forth, filled with an intense battle intent. The 5 of them directly issued a challenge. Not only that, the people they invited were all at the same cultivation level as the 5 of them. Not only that, they were all extremely famous in the Emperor Star Academy. 3 of them were the leaders of the 3 student associations, 1 was a member of the 10 prodigies, and the last was an honorary elder. Since when did First Sword become a member of your Royal Academy? And why haven't I heard of Xiaolan and Wang Teng before? Old Gu's countenance turned sharp. The Royal Academy and the godly General Martial Palace have just merged, so Old Gu naturally isn't familiar with some of them. As for First Sword, the matter today concerns the entire Snowcloud country. It's just that because of the merger of the 2 academies, I don't wish to bully the Emperor Star Academy. Hence, Crown Prince Xiao LVL, and I will not participate in the battle. Chu Tianjiao slowly spoke, causing the pupils of the crowd to narrow. What an arrogant tone. Indeed, Chu Tianjiao was ranked number 2 among the 10 prodigies. In addition, Xiao LVL was the leader of the duo prides of Snowcloud country. There was no need to doubt the strength of the 2 of them. If Chu Tianjiao and Xiao LVL were to participate, the Emperor Star Academy would be in even more trouble. However, the 2 of them chose not to participate. This was a battle between Yuanfu realm cultivators. Regardless of the Emperor Star Academy or the Royal Academy, Yuanfu realm cultivators were the backbone of the academy. People at this level were the true elites of the Emperor Star Academy. From a certain perspective, the scale of this battle didn't lose out to the Junlin banquet. The 5 participants were all extraordinary characters. Yi Wuk, a Yuanfu realm cultivator of the 10 prodigies. First Sword, the leader of the 3 swords of Snowcloud country. Wu Chong, a genius disciple of the godly General Martial Palace. As for Wang Teng and Xiaolan, they weren't simple characters either. Especially Xiaolan, who was at the 3rd level of Yuanfu, challenging the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association. Will the Emperor Star Academy accept the challenge? Chu Tianjiao's voice boomed out, reverberating in the air above the Emperor Star Academy. They had already investigated the cultivation bases of the geniuses of the Emperor Star Academy. From the looks of it, the Emperor Star Academy didn't have any intentions of taking advantage of the Emperor Star Academy. The gazes of the students of the Emperor Star Academy all turned to the elders in the spectator stands. Under such circumstances, how could they reject? Are all of you willing to accept the challenge? Old Gu didn't make the decision for the geniuses of the Emperor Star Academy. He knew that the cultivation bases of the 5 participants were exactly the same as their opponents. Not only that, they were all from the Emperor Star Academy. Fight! Only to see Cho Mo stepping out, landing on the platform. His sharp eyes stared at Yi Wuk. His ranking was higher than Yi Wuk's. There was no reason for him to refuse. Yi Wuk, you're ranked within the top 5 of the 10 prodigies. At the very least, your position is unshakable. Cho Mo indifferently stated as he stared at Yi Wuk. Yi Wuk's countenance was calm as he stared at his opponent. After which, he released his 3rd astral soul, causing a resplendent golden-red light to flash about. Golden astral soul, 4th heavenly layer. Cho Mo's countenance stiffened when he saw this. Not only did Yi Wuk open an astral gate and condense his 3rd astral soul, he even condensed an astral soul from the 4th heavenly layer. This astral soul was in the form of a golden-red sharp sword. As the light shone, the sharpness of the sword intent was bone-piercing. Bzzz, a terrifying sharpness erupted forth as Yi Wuk stepped out, instantly causing Cho Mo to feel an immense pressure. Behind his back, a pair of silvery wings appeared, gleaming with a resplendent light. This was his 2nd astral soul, and after stepping into Yuanfu, even his wings seemed to have become real. After Wu Xiu stepped into Yuanfu, his arterial pathways transformed into a vortex, and the astral energy in his body transformed into yuan energy droplets. Each droplet was condensed from a vast amount of astral energy. These yuan energy droplets, which contained a terrifying amount of energy, would appear in the Yuanfu within Wu Xiu's body. Not only that, the newly formed Yuanfu would also begin to nurture an astral nova. The amount of astral energy a Yuanfu cultivator possessed was far beyond what an arterial circulation realm cultivator could compare to. That was a qualitative change, a leap in strength. The vast amount of astral energy they possess would allow them to use many different techniques. Even their astral souls would have a corporeal quality to them. When they gradually nurtured their astral novas and stepped into Heavenly Dipper, they would then possess a corporeal astral nova. Just when Cho-Mo was in a daze, Yu-Wuk stepped out. In an instant, countless golden swords converged together, transforming into a gigantic heaven-punishing sword. Slashing towards Cho-Mo, golden sword chi enveloped the surroundings, and the might of this attack was akin to a terrifying tempest. An astral soul from the fourth heavenly layer could even amplify his attacks. How terrifying was this? Cho-Mo also released his own astral soul, but when faced against Yu-Wuk's attack, he discovered that all of his defenses would be broken apart. A deep sense of disappointment could be seen in his eyes. The position of the fourth prodigy was about to change hands. The attacks of the two collided together. With just a single strike, Cho-Mo was blasted off the platform, causing the spectators to be stunned. Was the difference in strength between the fourth and fifth prodigies so great? Not only that, the fifth prodigy was even stronger. The first battle, the Emperor Star Academy, was defeated. Yu-Wuk cast his gaze in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy spectator stand, only to see him bowing as he stated, "I won this round by luck." After speaking, he slowly retreated, returning to his original position. However, when the sound of his voice drifted into the ears of the spectators, it was extremely ear-piercing. Chapter 161. How could Yu-Wuk's victory be due to luck? This battle was clearly a one-sided victory. Cho-Mo, who was ranked number 4 among the 10 prodigies, wasn't too far off from Yu-Wuk in the past. But now, after Yu-Wuk condensed his third astral soul, Cho-Mo was left in the dust. Yu-Wuk retreated from the platform, only to see First Sword slowly walking up as sword intent gushed forth from him. Although Yu-Wuk had also attacked with his sword earlier, he wasn't a pure sword cultivator. However, First Sword was different. From the aura he exuded, one could tell that he was an extremely powerful sword cultivator. The attacks of a sword cultivator would definitely be extremely sharp and powerful. Rain slowly walked onto the stage. She was dressed in white and had a youthful appearance. She was around 20 years of age and had many admirers in the academy. However, no one had been able to woo this outstanding beauty up until now. "Please enlighten me." First Sword bowed to Rain. Although these people came here to provoke them, their etiquette was impeccable, making it impossible for others to criticize them. "Please enlighten me." Rain returned the bow, her expression gentle and beautiful. It was hard to imagine that such a beautiful student would have such powerful combat prowess. First Sword stepped out, and in an instant, his sword-type astral soul blossomed with a resplendent radiance. A three-colored sword flashed in the air, incomparably resplendent, as though it wanted to blind the eyes of the spectators. 3-star astral souls, all in the form of swords. The gazes of the spectators froze. As expected of the leader of the 3 swords of Snowcloud, his dedication to the sword was extraordinary. A 3-colored sword-type astral soul could amplify the might of an innate technique. Rain also released her astral soul, causing a rain of stars to descend from the sky. 3rd astral soul, 4th heavenly layer. The spectators all had looks of astonishment on their faces as they stared at Rain's astral soul. Especially the students of the Emperor Star Academy, they couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Senior Rain is so powerful, and yet so low profile. Senior Rain is so much stronger compared to Cho-Mo. Cho-Mo's reputation is undeserved. Many people discussed in a low voice, their voices extremely ear-piercing to Cho-Mo's ears. What was even more interesting was that Rain had chosen the Rain astral soul. With her as the center, a rain of stars began to descend. At the same time, a pair of pure white wings appeared on Rain's back. At this moment, Rain was akin to an angel, much more beautiful than when Yu-Wuk released his winged astral soul. "So beautiful!" some young girls exclaimed. However, there were also people who were worried for Rain. With such a combination of astral souls, would Rain's attacks be strong? The first sword slowly walked out, the sword light tearing through everything. The tricolored sword transformed into 3 beams of sword light, descending from the sky and slashing towards Rain. However, Sumuyu's silhouette flickered unceasingly. The curtain of rain was still there. giving off a hazy feeling. When the three-colored sword light landed, her silhouette was still standing in the curtain of rain, not being hit at all. Her footsteps. Qin Wentian noticed that both of Rain's legs were shimmering with astral light. He had once listened to Rain's lecture before. His senior apprentice sister Rain had some unique insights, and it was precisely because of Rain's lecture that he was able to comprehend how to spit out sword light from her mouth, and how to launch palm strikes with her feet. Seeing how the first sword's ferocious attacks were unable to touch Rain, Qin Wentian faintly felt that Rain would be able to win this battle. And indeed, the first sword's attacks were extremely impatient. His attacks were like a raging tempest, pressuring Rain to the point where she couldn't even breathe. However, when he slashed out with his strongest attack, he discovered that he was wrong. Rain's body actually began to dissipate, and at the same time, another silhouette walked out from the curtain of rain. Is this an illusion-type astral soul? The crowd was filled with disbelief when they saw Rain defeating the first sword with a single strike. Although it seemed that the first sword had the upper hand, he didn't pose a threat to Rain at all. Just a fluke. Rain retreated a few steps as she politely replied. Her words were the same as Yi Wuxi's, but it was extremely satisfying. Weren't these people very arrogant? Didn't they still lose in the end? Wang Tong leapt up the platform as a terrifying aura gushed forth from him. For this battle, his opponent was none other than the leader of the Green Cloud Association, Ling Hua. Qin Wentian's impression of Ling Hua was still pretty good. Back then, if it wasn't for Ling Hua's appearance, he would have already killed Luo Qianxiu. And if he really did kill Luo Qianxiu, based on the strength of the 9 mystical palace, even the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't be able to protect him. However, when he saw Wang Tong's attacks, Qin Wentian knew that Ling Hua was going to lose this battle. Not only Qin Wentian felt this way. When the spectators saw the two of them clashing, they were all shocked by Wang Tong's combat prowess. Wang Tong was akin to a primordial beast, tyrannical, suppressing everything in its path. Finally, Ling Hua was unable to withstand Wang Tong's attacks and was defeated. This Wang Tong must be a trump card arranged by Chu Tianjiao. He will definitely win. Qin Wentian stared at Chu Tianjiao. That calm countenance of his was filled with confidence. Since he came today, he wouldn't leave in defeat. The fourth battle, Wu Chong against the leader of the Azura Alliance, Dui Dao. Luo Qianxiu was also a member of the Azura Alliance when he was still in the Emperor Star Academy. However, other than those from the Knights Association, the other members of the Emperor Star Academy didn't care about identity or status. The Azura Alliance emphasized on killing and tempering themselves, raising their combat prowess in times of crisis. But in such a situation, they would undoubtedly stand on the side of the Emperor Star Academy. Wu Chong was a famous figure in the godly General Martial Palace. His 3 beast-type astral souls granted him terrifying combat prowess. However, Dui Dao wasn't any weaker as well. His attacks were unconventional, and each and every one of them was fatal. He simply didn't care about his life, and was extremely ruthless. However, Wu Chong's ruthlessness didn't lose out to Dui Dao's. The godly General Martial Palace was located in the Dark Forest, and the people there were all talents nurtured by the military. Naturally, they had to be ruthless. They used the Dark Forest as a training ground, and the tempering of their disciples was extremely crazy, not losing out to the cruelty of the Azura Alliance. Seeing how the two of them were still able to rely on their tyrannical willpower to continue fighting despite suffering numerous attacks, many in the spectators couldn't help but admire them. Finally, Wu Chong howled in rage. Relying on the power of his beast-type astral souls, he finally managed to suppress Dui Dao, blasting him off the platform, seizing the victory of the fourth battle. In this case, out of the 5 battles, the Royal Academy had already won 3. Their challenges had achieved glorious results. From now onwards, the people of the Royal Capital would say that the current Royal Academy could only be stronger than the Emperor Star Academy. This time around, other than the matter regarding Xiao LVL, the Royal Academy also wanted to create momentum. Since the Royal Academy wanted to make a move against the Emperor Star Academy, it was naturally impossible for them to start a war with the Emperor Star Academy. They could only slowly weaken the Emperor Star Academy. Hence, the provocation this time around was precisely to create momentum. Wanting to destroy the Emperor Star Academy wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. Do we still need to proceed with the last battle? Chu Tianjiao cast his gaze onto the spectator stands as he calmly asked. His voice was extremely unpleasant to the ears of those from the Emperor Star Academy. Was there still a need to proceed with the last battle? Out of the 5 battles, they had already won 3. From a certain perspective, they were already victorious. Naturally, Old Gu's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold. After which, the leader of the Heavenly Demon Alliance, Zhu Lengfeng, walked up the platform. Zhu Lengfeng was an expert at the 3rd level of Yuanfu. Among the students of the Emperor Star Academy, those who surpassed this level would have already left the academy. From a certain perspective, Zhu Lengfeng represented the pinnacle of strength among the students of the Emperor Star Academy. If one wanted to be stronger, they would have to leave Chu and pursue a higher level of cultivation. Strictly speaking, this battle of Zhu Lengfeng's was no longer a battle for victory, but a battle to protect the glory of the Emperor Star Academy. Xiao Lan, this young man who had never appeared in the sights of the royal capital before, walked up the platform. He inclined his head and stared at Zhu Lengfeng. That gaze of his gave off an extremely uncomfortable feeling, even sharper than the edge of a blade. You are not my opponent. Scram. Xiao Lan calmly spat out, his words causing a cold glint of light to flicker in Zhu Lengfeng's eyes. He was the leader of the Heavenly Demon Alliance, and his status in the Emperor Star Academy was extraordinary. The Heavenly Demon Alliance was the first alliance to be established in the Emperor Star Academy, and had a symbolic meaning. But now they were being humiliated. Not only that, out of the 5 that Chu Tianjiao brought, the first 4 were extremely courteous regardless of their strength. However, the last one was the complete opposite. Savage, arrogant, as though he had the intention to humiliate the Emperor Star Academy. We will only know after we battle. Zhu Lengfeng's voice was cold as he retorted. Vizi. A raging wind gusted by as Xiao Lan's silhouette abruptly moved. His entire person transformed into an illusory beam of light as he stared at Zhu Lengfeng. In that instant, Zhu Lengfeng felt as though he was in a miraculous realm, and even if he wanted to raise his hands to resist, it was extremely difficult. In the direction of the Emperor Star Academy's platform, someone stood up with an expression of shock on his face. Boom! A sound rang out as the entire space turned deathly silent. Zhu Lengfeng's chest was split open as blood flowed unceasingly. Scram! Xiao Lan's palms blasted out as a white light flashed, blasting Zhu Lengfeng off the platform. Old Gu's silhouette flickered as he appeared in front of Zhu Lengfeng, catching him as he asked, Are you all right? Teacher, I've disappointed you. Zhu Lengfeng stared at Old Gu as he apologized. So it turned out that the leader of the Heavenly Demon Association, Zhu Lengfeng, was the disciple of the honorary elder, Old Gu. So what if you're defeated? Don't worry about it. Old Gu consoled, but his eyes were filled with sharpness. Earlier, when Xiao Lan attacked, he felt a pressure on a spiritual level. Such a person was truly terrifying. In the Royal Academy, there was no such person as Xiao Lan. The Emperor Star Academy is merely SOSO. Xiao Lan coldly spoke as a hint of evil could be heard in his voice. In such a situation, no one could refute his words. 5 battles for defeats. Today, Chu Tianjiao's domineering provocation was indeed prepared. If it wasn't for Rain's victory, they would have been in an even more miserable state. But even so, the ending was still extremely unsightly. Out of the 4 alliances of the Emperor Star Academy, 3 of the alliance leaders were all defeated. Such a crushing defeat would definitely have a great impact on the reputation of the Emperor Star Academy. Evidently, Chu Tianjiao's goal had been achieved. Chapter 162. Chu Tianjiao stood up. Although he had achieved a great victory, there was no trace of complacency on his face. On the contrary, he bowed to the elders of the Emperor Star Academy. Elders, do you have anything to say? Old Gu placed Xue Lingfeng down and glanced at Chu Tianjiao. This person was neither arrogant nor rash, and his talent was extraordinary. Sadly, his ambitions were too great. He wanted to pacify the entire Chu country, allowing the royal clan to cover the skies with one hand. Without the Emperor Star Academy, without the Qin clan, only the royal clan reigned supreme. Victory and defeat are nothing out of the ordinary. The students of the Emperor Star Academy must remember today's battle and cultivate even harder in the future. Regardless of what old Gu was thinking in his heart, he couldn't let Chu Tianjiao laugh at him on the surface. After all, although Chu Tianjiao's words were beautiful, who didn't know of his wild ambitions? Chu Tianjiao admires Senior's breadth of mind. However, I still have to bring up the matter of Qin Yao. I hope that Senior can be magnanimous enough to allow Miss Qin Yao to accompany the Crown Prince of Snowcloud back to Chu Tianjiao. Chu Tianjiao was still as polite as before, neither servile nor overbearing. You can just ask for Qin Yao's opinion on this matter. How can I make a decision for her? Old Gu unhappily replied. As long as the elders of the Emperor Star Academy don't obstruct us juniors, it's fine. Chu Tianjiao continued. So you want to use force? A cold light flickered in old Gu's eyes. I don't dare to. This is originally a matter between juniors. It's best for us to handle it ourselves. Of course, if the Emperor Star Academy uses numbers to bully us, or if the elders obstruct us, I have nothing to say. Chu Tianjiao had pinned the blame on the Emperor Star Academy, causing the spectators to understand his intentions. Earlier, after he defeated the Emperor Star Academy, he intentionally provoked them. Didn't this mean that the Emperor Star Academy couldn't obstruct them from bringing Qin Yao away? If not, it would mean that the Emperor Star Academy was useless. The logic of the third prince really makes one not know whether to laugh or cry. Old Gu mocked. According to what you mean, if you win, you can just snatch Qin Yao away? If the Emperor Star Academy doesn't interfere, it would be considered as bullying? What kind of place do you think the Emperor Star Academy is? Since Senior understands it this way, I, Chu Tianjiao, have nothing more to say. If the Emperor Star Academy insists on this, I can only leave. However, the reputation of the Emperor Star Academy wouldn't be too good to hear. Didn't the Royal Academy just win a few battles that were arranged beforehand? Why do I feel as though the Royal Academy is standing above the Emperor Star Academy? Qin Wentian couldn't bear to see this. Although Chu Tianjiao appeared humble, he was actually extremely domineering. The Emperor Star Academy's preparations weren't sufficient, but you guys managed to find a few unknown experts from God knows where, and you call this victory? Qin of Academy. The Academy was of the Qin. Academy of Academy, Emperor of the Academy of Tianov Academy of the Academy Tianqin Academy of Academy, of Wu of. 5 days later, the Emperor Star Academy can bring 5 people to pay a visit to the Royal Academy. The arterial circulation realm doesn't have a specific cultivation level, and the Emperor Star Academy can choose their disciples now. My Emperor Star Academy can guarantee that the Royal Academy will definitely recognize these 5 people. On the contrary, the majority of the martial academies in the royal capital are focused on guiding their disciples in their cultivation. Most of them are at the arterial circulation realm, and because of this, the competition at the arterial circulation realm is more suitable. 5 days from now, the Emperor Star Academy can bring 5 people to pay a visit to the Royal Academy. The arterial circulation realm doesn't have a specific cultivation level, and the Royal Academy can choose their disciples now. My Emperor Star Academy can guarantee that these 5 people are definitely not from outside, and the Royal Academy will definitely recognize them. Qin Wentian was undoubtedly hinting that his Emperor Star Academy wouldn't be the same as them, inviting unknown experts to battle. Old Gu glanced at Qin Wentian as he laughed. Today's visit to the Royal Academy was to slap the Emperor Star Academy's face. Qin Wentian's suggestion wasn't bad, but the main point was to ensure victory. After all, after the merger of the godly General Martial Palace and the Royal Academy, there would be many outstanding disciples. However, their advantage was none other than Qin Wentian. This suggestion isn't bad. Old Gu continued. Most of the Yuanfu realm disciples have already graduated, so there's no need to compete. But as for the arterial circulation realm disciples, there should still be students from both academies. Regarding Qin Yao, the Emperor Star Academy has yet to express their stance. Qin Yao is already a student of my Emperor Star Academy. If the third prince dares to say that if our Emperor Star Academy wins 5 days later, we can snatch any beautiful female disciple from the Royal Academy, and the Royal Academy won't interfere, I have nothing to say. Old Gu coldly laughed. Based on Chu Tianjiao's status, It was impossible for him to make such a ridiculous decision. Chu Tianzhao fell silent. He knew that it was impossible for him to bring Qin Yao away today. Naturally, he already knew that it was impossible, but he still had to put up a front. Not only that, they had indeed embarrassed the Emperor Star Academy, and the result of this battle would soon spread throughout the royal capital, affecting the enrollment of new students. But what Chu Tianzhao didn't expect was that Qin Wentian actually wanted to return the favor to the Royal Academy. Farewell. Chu Tianzhao bowed once more, as he turned and departed. Those beside him followed suit, departing the Royal Academy. 5 days later, do you accept the challenge? Qin Wentian stared at the back of Chu Tianzhao as he asked. Any time. Chu Tianzhao's voice drifted over, causing Old Gu's countenance to turn heavy. He turned to Qin Wentian beside him. Wentian, with the merger of the two great academies, in addition to the fact that they will seek help from other experts, things are going to be a little troublesome. Today they are the guests and the rules are set by them. 5 days later we will be the guests, and the rules will be set by us. Why must we fight separately? Qin Wentian's eyes flickered with a sharp glint, causing Old Gu's countenance to stiffen. After which, he patted Qin Wentian on his shoulders. The pressure on Qin Wentian's shoulders was immense. The crowd from the Emperor Star Academy gradually dispersed. Just as Chu Tianzhao had predicted, the result of the battle quickly spread throughout the royal capital. After the merger of the Royal Academy and the godly General Marshal Palace, the limelight was unrivaled, suppressing even the Emperor Star Academy, becoming the #1 academy in the royal capital. This caused many outstanding youths to waver. Initially, many of them had planned to enroll in the Emperor Star Academy for the entrance examination. Could it be that they had changed their minds? However, another piece of news circulated out. The Emperor Star Academy wasn't satisfied with their defeat, and would pay a visit to the Royal Academy 5 days later. And the person in the lead was none other than the top ranker of the Junlin banquet, Qin Wentian. With Qin Wentian's strength, it was naturally hard for him to meet a worthy opponent at the arterial circulation realm. However, what about the others? Would they have a chance of victory? Currently, Qin Wentian was in closed-door seclusion. After Francis received his letter, he followed Qin Wentian's instructions and handed the divine inscription painting over to the Divine Weapon Pavilion. With the fastest speed, the Divine Weapon Pavilion paid a hefty price to gather all the items that Qin Wentian needed, and sent them over to Qin Wentian. These items included demonic cores, Yuan meteor stones that contained the astral energy of the demonic constellations, as well as other resources that contained the essence of demonic beasts. Just the items sent over by the Divine Weapon Pavilion were definitely priceless. However, this was only the first level of the fiend transformation art that Qin Wentian wanted to cultivate. Not only that, it wasn't sufficient for him to reach the perfection boundary of the first level. In the future, he would need even more resources. As for the second level of the fiend transformation art, not only did he need resources, he also needed to condense a powerful astral soul from a demonic beast. However, that was something that would happen after Qin Wentian stepped into Yuanfu and condensed his third astral soul. The current him only wanted to cultivate the first level of the fiend transformation art, the demonic body transformation art. Qin Wentian did his best to cultivate, completely ignoring the happenings in the outside world. In the royal capital of Chu, other than the Sky Transport Network and Heaven's Wonder, there was still the Heavenly Treasures Network. The Sky Transport Network was the largest transportation network in the Chu country, Heaven's Wonder was the largest casino, and the Heavenly Treasures Network was the largest trading center for treasures. This was somewhat similar to the Divine Weapon Pavilion, but there were also some differences. The main business of the Divine Weapon Pavilion was the sale of divine weapons, while the Heavenly Treasures Network focused more on the transactions of rare and precious treasures. Hence, the Heavenly Treasures Network was also the largest auction house in the Chu country. The crystal auction building of the Heavenly Treasures Network was split into 3 levels, and was constructed entirely from crystals. The entire building was shimmering with a resplendent light, exuding a sense of extravagance and nobility. Today, regardless of whether it was the first, second, or third level of the crystal auction building, they were all filled to the brim. This was because the Heavenly Treasures Network had already released the news that an extremely valuable treasure would be auctioned today. This undoubtedly stirred the curiosity of many. There was no need to doubt the value of a treasure that could be auctioned in the crystal auction building. Hence many nobles came today. Zwain Murin Orkhan Yizhan and Lu Yen, Autumn Snow and her friends came as well. They all wanted to see what the Heavenly Treasures Network was going to auction. On the first level of the crystal auction building, within a crystal lotus, a beautiful lady clad in translucent robes stood there. Her beauty was breathtaking, causing people to sigh in admiration. The lotus slowly rose up into the air, and the lady had a charming smile on her face. She held a painting in her hands as she spoke to the crowd. The treasure being auctioned today was created by one of the most outstanding geniuses in the history of the Emperor Star Academy in the Chu country. In fact, I feel that the word one of should be removed from its name. As the sound of her voice faded, many in the crowd were stunned. The most outstanding genius in the history of the Emperor Star Academy? What a tantalizing question. When he was 16 years old, he had yet to step onto the path of cultivation. At that time, his marriage engagement was broken off and he was humiliated. However, he didn't give up. On the contrary, the first astral soul he awakened originated from the third heavenly layer, and his second astral soul originated from the fourth heavenly layer. In a short span of a year, he stepped into the peak of the arterial circulation realm. Not only that, he created a miracle, becoming the champion of the Junlin banquet, defeating Luo Qianqiu and Sikong Mingyue. The hearts of the crowd trembled as they guessed who she was talking about. Autumn Snow's countenance turned pale. Wasn't the marriage engagement broken off and humiliated? Wasn't this referring to her? At this moment, she only felt a burning sensation on her face. Not only that, he is also the most outstanding genius in the Chu country. At the age of 17, he was able to inscribe a divine imprint that even heavenly dipper sovereigns were in awe. That was a third-level divine imprint, a human-shaped painting that had never appeared before in the history of the Chu country. The young lady smiled as she spoke. Only now did they realize that Qin Wentian was truly outstanding. Autumn Snow was even thinking in her heart that if that incident didn't happen back then, that naive young man would still be together with her right now. Back then, for that painting, even the Heavenly Dipper Sovereign's senior Qin Wentian gave it his all and even promised Muro a favor. Today, this is the second painting created by Grandmaster Qin Wentian, a unique masterpiece that surpasses the previous one. Maybe, it would be highly regarded by Heavenly Dipper Sovereigns. The young lady smiled as she swept her gaze across the crowd. With just a few sentences, the atmosphere was pushed to the peak, causing the blood of many in the crowd to boil. Just the fact that even Heavenly Dipper Sovereigns wanted this painting was sufficient to drive many people crazy, not to mention the value of the painting itself. Seeing the performance of the young lady, a smile appeared on Liuyan's face. Seems like her decision to send the painting to the Heavenly Treasures Tower for auction was the correct one. Chapter 163. Within the translucent crystal lotus, the water maiden, clad in a translucent crystal cloak, had exceedingly good skin. It was as though she had fused into the painting, causing the hearts of many males to pound with excitement. However, when she unfurled the painting in her hands, the gazes of the crowd instantly shifted away, as they stared at the divine inscription painting. It was still the same human-shaped painting, as though it had a mind of its own. The ancient halberd exuded an aura that caused the spectators to be immersed within, as though they had entered a miraculous state. Yet another revolutionary creation. Seems like Qin Wentian is truly a heaven-defying genius. The first painting might have been obtained by chance, but this second painting clearly has the same aura as the first painting, and was created by the same person. Not only that, the aura contained within this painting is even more intense. A voice drifted out from a crystal booth. The young lady inclined her head as she smiled. President Swain has a good eye. I believe that after missing out on the first painting, you won't miss out on the second one. Vice President Swain of the Star River Association. The crowd was shocked, as the atmosphere grew increasingly lively. Finally, the auction officially began, and very quickly, the price of this painting was raised to an extremely terrifying level. On the first level, in a certain seat, a young lady stared at the pale-faced Autumn Snow as she asked, "Autumn Snow, did you really break off the engagement with Qin Wentian back then?" Autumn Snow's countenance was extremely unsightly. Based on Qin Wentian's current status, it was no longer something she could compare to, even if Qin Wentian had a grudge with the royal clan. But now the Chu country had already rebelled, and it was still unknown who would emerge victorious. If the rebels won, Qin Wentian's status would be equivalent to the current Chu Tianjiao's. Because now, everyone knew that the Qin clan was the target of the rebels, and this was also the banner of their rebellion. Lu Yin, who was seated in the second-level booth with Yi Zhan, was also feeling complicated in her heart. Back then, Yi Zhan had told her that Qin Wentian would never be on the same level as her. But now his words had come true. How many people in the royal capital knew of Yi Zhan? But who didn't know of Qin Wentian? Because of Qin Wentian's matter, Mu Qing and Zhou Yin were increasingly at odds. Zhou Yin seemed to dislike him. Mu Qing was well aware of this and secretly cursed the old man. Since Mu Qing dared to hate him because of a brat, don't blame him for being cruel and merciless. Of course Mu Qing would not show it. His face was always full of smiles. Finally, the divine inscription painting was purchased by Zhou Yin with a sky-high price. He was the vice president of the Star River Association, and was proficient in divine inscriptions as well as weaponsmithing. With his wealth, it wouldn't be a problem for him to purchase this painting. Putting one of Qin Wentian's paintings up for auction here had caused a great stir. Many great figures had participated in the auction. Thinking of this, Autumn Snow dejectedly walked out of the Heavenly Treasures Pavilion. If she said that she had no regrets, it would be a lie. After all, Qin Wentian had never let her down. It had always been her and Bai Qingsong who were blinded by greed. More importantly, they weren't doing so well now. If not, they wouldn't have thought so much about it. Another reason was that the disparity between the two of them was simply too great. So great that she couldn't even feel the jealousy she had felt in the past. Even now, I'm afraid he still hates me and the Bai clan to the bone. Autumn Snow laughed self-mockingly. Time and experience were truly wondrous things. In just a short span of a year, a person's state of mind had actually undergone such a huge change. This was something that the Autumn Snow of the past would never have dreamt of. As for Qin Wentian, he didn't know what was happening here. Nor did he know how the auction was conducted. Since the Divine Weapon Pavilion had already handled this matter, he completely let it go. In any case, the Divine Weapon Pavilion wouldn't mistreat him. He only needed to focus on his cultivation. Only with strength would he have status, resources, and authority. For the sake of cultivating the fiend transformation art, Qin Wentian could be said to be self-mutilating. These few days he cultivated like a madman, using a method that he had never used before. However, the results he obtained were astonishing. His physique grew stronger and stronger, and his life force grew stronger and stronger. Every breath he took was filled with vitality. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. Currently, at the entrance of the royal capital, there were already tens of thousands of youths gathered here. These were all people who came to the royal capital to register for the entrance examination of the martial academies. The youths of the various major cities of Chu rushed to the royal capital, adding even more color to the atmosphere, causing the atmosphere to be filled with vitality. Every year at this time, the royal capital would always be bustling with activity. Regardless of the internal strife in Chu, it wouldn't affect the hot-blooded hearts of the youths. All of them wanted to have a bright future. But if one paid attention, they would discover that this time around, there weren't too many students from the various martial academies. Because today was also the day when the Emperor Star Academy would pay a visit to the Royal Academy. 5 days ago, the visit of the Royal Academy had caused the Emperor Star Academy to lose all face, and became a hot topic of discussion in the royal capital. And at that time, Qin Wentian had stated that he would return the visit 5 days later. Many people were waiting to see how strong the response of the champion of the Junlin banquet, Qin Wentian. And after the merger, what kind of preparations would the powerful royal school make? It wouldn't be so easy for the Emperor Star Academy to obtain victory. Even if Qin Wentian won one round, what about the other 4? Within the Emperor Star Academy, in the central training ground where the Emperor Star Academy had lost previously, Old Gu, Mustang and the other elders were all present. The participants this time around will be somewhat troublesome. Old Gu rubbed his temples, feeling a slight headache. Qin Wentian, Luo Huan and Mountain were all here. These 3 could be considered the elites of the arterial circulation realm in the Emperor Star Academy. The three of them were definitely going to participate in the Junlin banquet. The Junlin banquet was a stage for cultivators at the pinnacle of the arterial circulation realm. Qin Wentian and Luo Huan both had achievements there, and Mountain's performance wasn't bad either. He had also broken through to the 9th level of arterial circulation. However, Old Gu still felt a headache coming on. During the previous Junlin banquet, the Emperor Star Academy's results were glorious. But that was only if Luo Qianqiu and Orkan were included. Now, it was naturally impossible for Luo Qianqiu to appear, and Orkan had also chosen to disappear. The O clan was originally a vassal of Chu Tianjiao, so how could he participate? Hence, for the top 9, only Qin Wentian and Luo Huan were left. But after the merger, there was still Chu Chan, Ho Tai, Shijun of the 10 Prodigies, and Leng Ye of the Godly General Martial Palace. Although they didn't manage to obtain the top 9, their combat prowess wasn't weak at all. I'm afraid that Chu Tianjiao will find an excuse to get Xikong Mingyue to participate as well. If that's the case, their lineup will be extremely strong. Old Gu was somewhat worried. Xikong Mingyue and Chu Chan were ranked 3rd and 4th respectively, while Ho Tai was ranked 6th. If Chu Tianjiao were to play some tricks and find an unknown expert at the arterial circulation realm, things would be even more difficult. Our lineup isn't weak either. Luo Cheng walked over from afar, nodding his head to Qin Wentian. During the previous Junlin banquet, I was tricked so badly by you in 7th night. But after seeing your strength, I admit that I should have been eliminated. If there's an opportunity, let's spar again. Qin Wentian laughed. He knew that to a martial arts fanatic like Luo Cheng, if he were to be courteous, it would be an insult. But if he were to spar, Luo Cheng would be more than happy to accept such a challenge. Sure, for sure. Luo Cheng nodded his head as he smiled. Are all the 5 of us here? For now there are only 4. There's still 1 more left. Who should we send out? Old Gu felt his head aching. What do you think about me? A weak voice drifted over. The gazes of the few of them shifted over, only to see a fat silhouette with a wretched look in his eyes. Qin Wentian blinked his eyes as he stared at the newcomer. So it turned out that this fatty was none other than Fan Lu. He actually wanted to take the initiative to participate in the battle. I think he can do it. Only to see Mustang's eyes brightening. During these few days, he had been guiding Fan Lu, and he was extremely clear of the capabilities of this fatty. A few days ago, he stepped into the 8th level of arterial circulation. Although his cultivation base is still a little lacking, his bloodline power and unique innate abilities can make up for it. Not only that, he is extremely suited for group battles. Mustang rubbed his chin as he laughed, causing Qin Wentian to be slightly taken aback. Fatty Fan Lu had actually broken through to the 8th level of arterial circulation? This improvement was simply too terrifying. Seeing the look of shock on Qin Wentian's face, Fatty Fan Lu winked at Qin Wentian as he stated, I, Fatty, am a genius. This fellow is indeed a genius. His cultivation speed is extremely fast, and not long ago, he managed to obtain a large amount of Yuan meteor stones from an unknown source. To think that he actually disregarded everything and absorbed the Yuan meteor stones madly, forcibly breaking through to the 8th level of arterial circulation. Mustang laughed. Qin Wentian nodded his head lightly. Back then, when Fan Lu first entered the Emperor Star Academy, his cultivation base was already higher than his. According to Mustang, this fatty was simply too lazy. Ever since Fatty was captured by Mustang, other than cultivating, he would only spend his time on tempering himself. Even when he slept, he would control the amount of time he spent in his room. Since the decision has been made, let's move out. Old Gu gazed at the skies, only to see a gigantic demonic beast descending from the skies, landing in front of the crowd. Old Gu, as well as Qin Wentian and the other 4, all mounted their demonic beasts and soared into the skies. Because of the absence of Luo Qianqiu and Orkan, although the lineup of these 5 couldn't be considered extravagant, it was still extremely breathtaking. Qin Wentian, the champion of the Junlin banquet. Luo Huan, the top 9. Luo Cheng, the unluckier Luo Cheng. Mountain had already broken through to the 9th level of arterial circulation, and Fatty Fan Lu's bloodline in addition to his talent allowed him to control the crowd. Now, it all depended on the lineup of the Royal Academy. How terrifying was the speed of an 8th level demonic beast. Not too long later, the griffins hovered in the air above the Royal Academy. Within the Royal Academy, countless people inclined their heads as they stared at the skies. The people from the Emperor Star Academy had arrived. The Royal Academy was the same as the Emperor Star Academy. They both had a central platform that was used for important battles. The griffins landed on this platform, and Chu Tianjiao and the rest had long since been waiting for them. Chu Tianjiao respectfully welcomed Senior's arrival. Chu Tianjiao bowed respectfully to Old Gu. Beside him stood Xiao Lu and the rest. Behind him there were also 5 silhouettes. They were Xikong Mingyue, Chu Chan, Ho Tai, and Leng Ya. As for the last silhouette, the 6 from the Emperor Star Academy all had strange expressions on their faces when they saw her. She was actually an extremely beautiful young lady clad in white, exuding a sense of nobility and elegance. The little princess of Chu. Old Gu's eyes flashed with sharpness. Chu Tianjiao had truly put in a lot of effort for this battle. He even invited the little princess to participate in this battle. Although this little princess rarely appeared in front of outsiders, Old Gu was very clear that if she were to participate in the Junlin banquet, she would definitely be ranked within the top 9. Chapter 164. The princes and princesses of Chu were all extraordinary individuals. Other than the first prince who couldn't cultivate, the others all had extremely good talent. This little princess of Chu had an extraordinary talent for cultivation. Naturally, many people didn't know of this. After all, she was a princess and rarely went out. In fact, many people didn't even know of her. This lineup is very strong. There was a hint of worry between Old Gu's brows. Xikong Mingyue, Chu Chan, Ho Tai, Leng Ya, and the little princess. On the surface, such a 5-man team was obviously stronger than their 5-man team. Even those from the Royal Academy had expressions of interest on their faces. The Emperor Star Academy had lost Luo Qianqiu and Orkan, while the Royal Academy had merged with the godly General Marshal Palace. Not only that, they had the support of Xikong Mingyue and the little princess. They really couldn't imagine how the Emperor Star Academy could regain their lost face. How does Senior plan to fight? Chu Tianjiao stared at Old Gu as he inquired. Since Chu Tianjiao was a guest, the host naturally had to follow the guest's instructions. Back then, when the Royal Academy visited the Emperor Star Academy, they didn't stand on ceremony and directly issued a challenge. 10 people battle, 1 battle to decide the winner. Old Gu replied. Momentarily, the gazes of the crowd froze. It seemed like the Emperor Star Academy wanted to use Qin Wentian's strength to make up for the weaknesses of the others. But even if it was a battle of 10, they still felt that the Emperor Star Academy was in danger. Qin Wentian, Luo Huan, and Luo Cheng weren't weak, but Mountain didn't have much of an impact during the Junlin banquet. As for that fatty, Qin Wentian hadn't even seen him during the Junlin banquet. At this time, Qin Wentian and the other 4 had already walked onto the fighting ring and were looking at the opposite side. Xikong Mingyue and the other 4 also stepped forward, getting into formation, as though they had long been prepared for this. Chu Tianjiao's countenance was incomparably calm. It was as though he had long guessed that the Emperor Star Academy would choose to engage in a group battle. But so what? In a group battle, the Emperor Star Academy would definitely lose. The slap to their faces this time around would be even more resounding compared to the previous time when they visited the Emperor Star Academy. Please enlighten us, Qin Wentian and the others said calmly, but the fighting intent in their eyes was already burning. Boom! Xikong Mingyue stood in front of the 5 of them as killing intent gushed out from his body. Ho Tai and Leng Ya stood beside Xikong Mingyue, while the little princess and Chu Chan stood behind them. In the direction of the Emperor Star Academy, Qin Wentian stood at the forefront, while Luo Cheng stood on his left, facing Ho Tai. Mountain stood on the right, facing Leng Ya, while Luo Huan and Fan Lu stood at the back. Both sides were in a formation of 3 at the front and 2 at the back. Xikong Mingyue and Qin Wentian once again faced off against each other. 2 terrifying auras clashed violently against each other, clashing head-on. On the fighting ring, an invisible gust of wind appeared, blowing on Qin Wentian's robe, making it flutter. The young man's face revealed a resolute expression. This was a battle for glory. They could only win. Today, all of the martial houses in the imperial city had begun to enroll new students. Countless people in the imperial city were watching this battle intently. They could not afford to lose. Two terrifying auras erupted forth. These two auras originated from the two at the back of the Royal Academy, Chu-chan and the little princess. The power of their bloodlines was unleashed. This bloodline power belonged to the emperor bloodline of the royal clan of Chu. At the same time, their amethyst astral souls were also released. The light from the scepter shone brightly, and at this moment, the two at the back were the most dazzling. Beams of light shot out from the scepter, enveloping Sikong Mingyue, Ho Tai and Lungya. In an instant, the auras of the three continued to soar. Amethyst astral soul, scepter, control, amplification. The eyes of the crowd flickered with madness as they witnessed this scene. Chu-chan and the little princess both had bloodlines and amethyst astral souls. With the amplification of the amethyst astral soul, the strength of Sikong Mingyue, and the other two instantly soared to another level. I'm afraid the Emperor Star Academy will have to scram back with their tails between their legs. Someone from the Royal Academy mocked. Today was their home ground. The Royal Academy had been suppressed by the Emperor Star Academy for many years. Now that the Royal Academy had merged with the godly General Martial Palace, they could finally vent their frustrations. If they won this battle, the prestige of the Royal Academy would completely surpass that of the Emperor Star Academy. Even Old Gu's countenance turned heavy. Experts with dual bloodlines could unleash the power of the amethyst astral soul to amplify their attacks. The strength of Sikong Mingyue and the other two would reach a terrifying level. In the direction of the Emperor Star Academy, the power of bloodlines also erupted forth. Fan Li's Empyrean Flame bloodline was ignited, and his entire body seemed to be boiling. Bloodline. Qin Wentian's aura changed as well. His long hair turned the color of ink, and his entire person exuded the aura of a monarch. He was the king. The Emperor Star Academy also has two people with bloodlines. The crowd was filled with anticipation. It was extremely rare for such a battle to occur, especially when it was between a group of geniuses at the peak of the arterial circulation realm. Senior sister Fatty controls Sikong Mingyue first. Luocheng and Mountain, the two of you deal with Ho Tai. Also Fatty, pay attention to the sneak attacks from the two behind. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. The four of them nodded their heads, as though Qin Wentian was their leader. Sikong Mingyue slowly walked out, and in an instant, the five from the Royal Academy advanced forward. Although they had the upper hand in terms of numbers, they didn't dare to be careless. Their opponents had Qin Wentian, and they couldn't help but be cautious. Control, I want to see how you can control them. Sikong Mingyue coldly laughed. His attacks were extremely tyrannical, and now that he had the support of two others, even if he clashed against Qin Wentian, he wouldn't be afraid. Luo Huan and Fatty wanted to control him as well? Fight! Sikong Mingyue roared in rage at Qin Wentian as he released his astral souls. Not only him, the other 10 on the platform, other than Qin Wentian, all released their dazzling astral souls. In an instant, the resplendent light radiating from their astral souls dazzled the eyes of the spectators, causing their vision to be greatly impacted. It was too magnificent. Among these people, none of them had an astral soul from the first heavenly layer. Their first astral soul was condensed from an astral soul from the second heavenly layer. Sikong Mingyue advanced towards Qin Wentian, his battle intent surging. His only opponent was Qin Wentian. Do it! Qin Wentian roared. In an instant, he and Mountain shifted positions, and at the same time, numerous long whips lashed out towards Sikong Mingyue, akin to tens of thousands of tentacles. Sikong Mingyue coldly laughed, as he directly grabbed towards the long whips. However, in the next instant, a thunderous roar of rage could be heard. Fatty, who hadn't moved at all, shot out a series of arrows in rapid succession. The arrows were akin to golden streaks of light, piercing towards Sikong Mingyue's eyes, extremely ruthless. Sikong Mingyue coldly laughed. He lifted his palms and blasted out the ancient slaughter character imprint, wanting to destroy everything. However, the arrows instantly changed direction, flying towards his side. In a short instant, the spectators only saw golden streaks of light dancing around the platform, extremely resplendent. Although the might of the arrows wasn't strong, if one was pierced through the eyes, head, throat or other vital points, they would all die. Right now, these arrows seemed to have eyes of their own. The moment one was careless, they would be able to pierce through their vitals and kill. What a beautiful scene! Someone exclaimed. Sikong Mingyue's countenance was extremely unsightly to behold, as he frenziedly blasted out the ancient slaughter character imprint. However, the speed of the arrows was even faster than his attack speed. When Sikong Mingyue was trapped, Luochang and Mountain had already clashed against Ho Tai. Ho Tai's attack power was truly terrifying. However, Luochang's saber was extremely sharp, and each of his attacks was extremely lethal. After Mountain broke through, his defense was extremely strong. It was impossible for Ho Tai to deal with the two of them. This scene caused the gazes of Chu Chan and the little princess to stiffen. It seemed like it was impossible for the two of them to rely on their augmentations to control the battlefield. Their opponents had two wuxiu with extremely powerful control abilities. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already advanced towards Lengya. His strategy was to first deal with one of them before dealing with them one by one. Upon seeing Fan Li's current level of control, he was extremely pleasantly surprised. Qin Wentian's Garuda movement technique was incomparably ferocious. When he appeared in front of Lengya, Qin Wentian's heart involuntarily shuddered when he saw the demonic countenance of Qin Wentian. After which, Lengya's palms blasted out. This palm strike was none other than the falling mountain palms. Right now, Qin Wentian's falling mountain palms were getting stronger and stronger, akin to the pressure of a mountain peak. In addition to his terrifying physique, all of Lengya's counterattacks were completely crushed. The instant his palms came into contact with Qin Wentian, he understood that although he had the advantage in terms of cultivation base, in terms of strength, the two of them weren't even on the same level. The strength that erupted forth from Qin Wentian's body had too many augmentations. Leaving aside the advantage in the usage of innate techniques, the astral energy bestowed by his astral souls already had an absolute advantage. In addition to that, he had the mountainous divine energy, the physique of a demonic beast, and the boiling of his bloodline. Even against Lengya, who had a higher cultivation base than him, Qin Wentian was still able to completely suppress him. A thunderous sound echoed out as Lengya groaned in agony. His body was directly flung through the air, slamming onto the ground below the platform. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, and his arms felt as though they had been shattered. His internal organs churned violently, and he no longer had the strength to continue fighting. Qin Wentian only used a single strike to send him flying. From this, one could see how vast the disparity between the two of them was, and how tyrannical the strength of the top ranker of the Junlin banquet was. Chu Chan and the little princess knew that Sikong Mingyue, despite his tyrannical strength, was actually being suppressed by Qin Wentian. They knew that they couldn't afford to wait any longer. Exchanging glances, Chu Chen's silhouette flickered as he dashed towards the direction of Luo Huan and Fan Lu. This fatty's cultivation base was only at the 8th level of arterial circulation. What was strong about him was his ability to control and restrict the trajectory of his arrows. Only by dealing with him would Sikong Mingyue be able to focus all his attention on dealing with Qin Wentian. If not, they would all be wiped out one by Qin Wentian. I will restrain him. Wentian, you end the battle quickly. Luo Huan's silhouette flickered as she appeared in front of Chu Chan. Fan Li's ability to control his opponents was extremely strong, and he was able to delay Sikong Mingyue for a period of time. Sikong Mingyue advanced step by step towards Fan Lu, only to see Fan Li dodging unceasingly. The arrows shot out in a frenzy, as though they would never stop. The golden arrows on the platform continued to dance in the air. Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared in front of the little princess, as a demonic light radiated from his eyes. That demonic aura he exuded caused the little princess's heart to involuntarily tremble. This was the first time she had met such a character. Even someone as noble as her, when facing Qin Wentian at this moment, actually felt a sense of inferiority and insignificance. At this moment, Qin Wentian had no idea that he was exuding an innate aura of a monarch. Chapter 165. Qin Wentian naturally knew that he had to end this battle as quickly as possible. Executing the Garuda movement technique, his silhouette transformed into a beam of light as he dashed forward. The forgotten imprint of the 1,000 hands imprint blasted out, engulfing everything in its path. The little princess lifted her palms to defend, but the might of her innate technique was extremely strong. However, it was still insufficient to contend against Qin Wentian's strength. Boom! A surging wave of air blew against the long hair of the little princess. Her beautiful hair fluttered in the wind as a look of arrogance flashed in her eyes. She refused to retreat, and was even more tenacious compared to Lungya. However, the person she was facing was none other than Qin Wentian. A piercing sound rang out, only to see Qin Wentian spitting out a sharp beam of sword light. At such a close distance, the countenance of the little princess instantly changed. She tilted her head backwards, evading the sword light. Qin Wentian's palms flickered, forcing her backwards. After which, he closed in on her. And when the little princess inclined her head, Qin Wentian's palm was already clutching onto her throat. The countenance of the little princess paled. Her quick-witted eyes stared at Qin Wentian with an expression of grievance, as though blaming him for ruining a flower. This fellow was truly too ruthless. Get down! Qin Wentian's palm slammed into the chest of the little princess, blasting her off the platform. He couldn't afford to lose in this battle. Naturally, he wouldn't show mercy just because his opponent was a woman. This bastard! The little princess coughed a few times after being blasted off the platform. She clutched her chest with both hands as she stared at Qin Wentian, gritting her teeth. However, Qin Wentian didn't have the time to waste. At this moment, Sikong Mingyue had already arrived beside Fan Lu. As the ancient slaughter imprint blasted towards him, "Fatty, give up!" Qin Wentian roared. After which, Fan Lu grinned as he directly jumped off the platform. He had already bought enough time for Qin Wentian and the other two. Qin Wentian had already dealt with Lungya and the little princess. This was already sufficient. Bastard! Upon seeing this scene, Sikong Mingyue's killing intent exploded forth as he howled in rage at Fan Lu, who had already descended from the platform. 9 ancient slaughter word imprints blasted out simultaneously, aiming for Fan Lu. Fan Li's countenance turned extremely unsightly when he felt the surging killing intent. He hadn't expected Sikong Mingyue to make a move at this moment. Go! Numerous astral arrows shot out from Fan Li's fingers. At the same time, his body actually floated upwards, evading the incoming palm imprints. However, the terrifying aftershocks of the palm imprints still blasted into his body, causing him to fall to the ground as his internal organs churned. Sikong Mingyue didn't bother with Fan Lu any longer, because he could feel a terrifying killing intent emanating from behind him. He only saw Qin Wentian glaring at him, exuding a domineering aura that caused Sikong Mingyue's heart to skip a beat. Especially now that he didn't have the amplification from Chu Chan and the little princess's amethyst astral soul. His strength was definitely not a match for Qin Wentian. It was all that damnable fatty's fault. It was precisely because of him that their formation was in chaos, allowing Qin Wentian to instantly finish off 2 of them. At the instant Qin Wentian stepped out, Sikong Mingyue actually felt a sense of fear in his heart. The current Qin Wentian was even more demonic compared to before. That aura he exuded was even more terrifying than before. He, Sikong Mingyue, originally had an air of arrogance about him, but now he was being suppressed to the point where he couldn't even see a shadow. Rumble! A terrifying palm imprint blasted out towards Sikong Mingyue, as the falling mountain palms were pushed to the limits by Qin Wentian. Sikong Mingyue howled in rage, as the ancient slaughter word imprint blasted out with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. However, under the might of the palm imprint, they were all shattered into pieces. Following which, Qin Wentian's palm imprint blasted towards Sikong Mingyue, only to see Sikong Mingyue inscribing the ancient slaughter word imprint in the air. As the palm imprint blasted out, Qin Wentian's palm imprint trembled unceasingly in the air, as though that terrifying palm imprint contained a stacked might that could engulf everything as it descended. Boom! Sikong Mingyue only felt as though his arm was about to shatter. After which, a powerful palm grabbed hold of his arm as he stared at the devilishly handsome countenance of Qin Wentian. You are truly courting death. Qin Wentian's ice-cold voice was akin to the voice of the Grim Reaper, causing Sikong Mingyue to feel a chill run down his spine. Qin Wentian's left hand blasted out in a frenzy. Sikong Mingyue lifted his arm to block, yet a cracking sound rang out as his arm was directly shattered. At the same time, Qin Wentian's palm imprint blasted out, slamming into his chest. However, Sikong Mingyue wasn't flung backwards because his right arm was still firmly held by Qin Wentian. I concede. Sikong Mingyue coughed out large mouthfuls of blood as his countenance paled. At this moment he was truly terrified. As the sound of his voice rang out, those from the Royal Academy were all dumbfounded. In a battle of 10, Qin Wentian's performance was actually so domineering. Sikong Mingyue, one of the duo prides of Snowcloud, how arrogant was he? Yet at this moment, in order to preserve his life, he actually shouted out the word concede. Qin Wentian's palms trembled as he consecutively blasted out 3 palm imprints onto Sikong Mingyue's body. The spectators only saw Sikong Mingyue's countenance turning ashen as Qin Wentian released him. It was unknown how many of Sikong Mingyue's meridians were destroyed as he was blasted off the platform. At the instant he was blasted off the platform, the result of the battle was already clear. The current Qin Wentian was much stronger compared to the Qin Wentian during the Junlin banquet. Sikong Mingyue couldn't even withstand a single strike. Even if Hotai and Chuchan were to fight against Qin Wentian alone, they still wouldn't be able to do so. Hotai and Chuchan didn't continue fighting. They pulled a distance away from Luo Huan and the other two, turning their heads back to stare at Qin Wentian as a sense of helplessness welled up in their hearts. They had indeed predicted that the Emperor Star Academy would propose a battle of 10, and had already prepared a method to deal with it. But with Fan Li's suppression, as well as Qin Wentian's tyrannical strength, their plans were all broken within a short period of time. Scram! Qin Wentian took a step forward, his gaze sweeping towards Chuchan. That wild silhouette, that devilishly handsome countenance, caused Chuchan to feel a sense of helplessness, not even daring to resist. Chuchan's countenance stiffened as he coldly snorted and walked off the platform. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze onto Hotai, only to see Hotai smiling bitterly as he shook his head. If he didn't fight, he would automatically concede. If he continued, he would only be seeking his own humiliation. The students of the Royal Academy all inclined their heads and stared at the 4 silhouettes on the platform. Fatty Fanlu also leapt up and walked to the side of Qin Wentian, his gaze filled with provocation as he swept his gaze over the crowd. Qin Wentian's gaze was sharp as he stood on the platform. He didn't say a single word and only stared at Old Gu. Old Gu had a smile on his face as he led his griffin up the platform. Qin Wentian and the rest mounted their griffins as they soared up into the air, disappearing from sight very quickly. There were no complacent words, nor were there any arrogant words of contempt. After they won, they directly left, leaving behind the students of the Royal Academy. If Qin Wentian and the rest were to provoke and humiliate them, they would definitely be filled with rage and hatred. But now they felt as though they were suffocating, unable to breathe. This kind of feeling was extremely uncomfortable. In the air, the griffin continued to soar through the air. Mountain grinned. Seeing Chu Tianzhao in such a state, how satisfying. Your defense isn't bad. Luo Cheng smiled at Mountain. This fellow had 2 astral souls, and both of them were proficient in defense. If it wasn't for Mountain, he wouldn't have been able to withstand Hotai's violent attacks. Your saber is also very strong. Mountain laughed. However, the most powerful one is still junior brother Qin. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already retracted his earlier aura. At this moment, he was once again calm and composed like a radiant youth. Nobody would have thought that he would be so arrogant earlier, as though he was the ruler of the world. Senior Mountain, you don't have to praise me too much. Qin Wentian shrugged his shoulders. What's wrong with a few words of praise? I still remember the time when Luo Huan and I went to the Sky Harmony City to fetch you. At that time you were being hunted down by the Yi clan, and you were filled with determination and determination. In addition to the fact that Teacher Mustang regarded you highly, I guess that you would have great achievements in the future. But who would have thought that you would surpass me and Luo Huan so quickly? Mountain had a silly look on his face as he patted Qin Wentian on his shoulders. He truly admired this junior of his. A look of reminiscence flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. Yeah, time passed so quickly. In the span of a year, he felt that his state of mind had changed so much. Junior brother, in the future when you have great achievements, remember to come back to the Emperor Star Academy to visit me. Don't forget that I'm here. Mountain joked. Senior brother, you intend to stay in the academy? Qin Wentian understood the hidden meaning behind Mountain's words. Naturally, he wasn't the kind of person who would disregard old friends after achieving great achievements. I know my situation very well. I'm afraid that I won't be able to achieve much in this lifetime. Reaching the pinnacle of Yuanfu would already be my limit. After I step into Yuanfu, I will become an honorary elder of the academy. In the future, I will stay in the academy and guide the younger generations. I hope that I will be able to meet someone as talented as you. Mountain was still as silly as ever. Qin Wentian didn't want to change Mountain's mind. Looking at his honest senior brother, he smiled. If I really have great achievements, I will definitely come back to visit senior brother. Okay, remember your promise. I'm a thick-skinned person, I won't forget it. Mountain laughed. Why are you so sour? It's like we're going to part ways soon. Luo Huan glared at Mountain, causing him to scratch his head awkwardly as he replied. Didn't I see that you, junior brother, and you Fei are about to step into Yuanfu? Sooner or later, all of you will have to leave this place. Luo Huan's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. Although this big fellow looked clumsy, she didn't expect him to have such a meticulous side to him. Don't worry, even if elder sister leaves this place, I will definitely come back to visit you in the future. Luo Huan laughed. Mountain laughed again. The griffin swooped down from the skies. Below it, there were already many silhouettes gathered. In the vast public square, countless youths inclined their heads as they stared at the griffin, their eyes filled with envy and yearning. This was the registration ground for the 9 great academies. Qin Wentian stared at the pure and innocent eyes of the crowd. Wasn't this the same state of mind he had when he first stepped into the royal capital? Are those the seniors and students of the Emperor Star Academy? Indeed, their demeanors are extraordinary. Someone commented in a low voice. You guys probably don't know, but the youth standing in the middle is none other than the champion of the Junlin banquet, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, is that Qin Wentian? The champion of the Junlin banquet, and the most dazzling genius of Chu last year? Grandfather. At this moment, a white crane soared through the air, arriving at the side of the griffin. The crowd inclined their heads, and upon seeing the silhouette on the back of the white crane, their eyes all froze. How beautiful! That's the number 1 beauty of Chu, Mo Qingqing. Last year here. Old Gu laughed. Didn't you tell me to come here? The Royal Academy must have won the competition, right? Mo Qingqing asked. We won, and we won beautifully. Old Gu was in an extremely good mood. Mo Qingqing's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light as she glanced at Qin Wentian and the others beside Old Gu. Finally, her gaze landed on Qin Wentian. Oi, don't I have a name? Qin Wentian shrugged his shoulders. Are you an idiot? Mo Qingqing smiled sweetly. Okay, you guys will be in charge of the recruitment of the Emperor Star Academy this time around. I'll take my leave first. The griffin landed on the ground, as did the white crane. After releasing the passengers, Old Gu immediately slipped away. Luo Huan sensibly sent Mountain and Luo Cheng away, and even cast a glance at Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian to be speechless. However, when the champion of the Junlin banquet and the number 1 beauty of Chu stood in the Emperor Star Academy's camp, it immediately became a beautiful scene, attracting the attention of many. Many people involuntarily moved closer to the Emperor Star Academy's camp. Especially not long after, when the news of the Royal Academy's defeat spread out, some of the youths who had originally planned to register for the Royal Academy's entrance examination changed their original plans. Chapter 166. As the news of the battle between the Royal Academy and the Emperor Star Academy circulated around, the crowd quickly realized that the Royal Academy's victory over the Emperor Star Academy didn't mean anything. The Emperor Star Academy was still the number 1 academy in the royal capital, its position unshakable. Qin Wentian and Mo Qingqing stood at the registration area of the Emperor Star Academy, gazing at the faces of the crowd filled with vitality. The smiles on their faces were exceptionally radiant. Do you still remember the scene when you came to register for the examination last year? Mo Qingqing turned her head as she asked Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded his head. He recalled that when he first arrived last year, Mo Qingqing and Nolan had passed by on a horse carriage. At that time, Emo Chingcheng had pulled open the curtains and smiled at him. Now that he thought about it, could it be that she was really smiling at him? At that time, you were still very young and inexperienced. Emo Chingcheng blinked her eyes. She was clad in a pure white gown resembling a fairy. Her slender and tall figure, coupled with her long hair, exuded the charm of a goddess. Many gazes were filled with envy when they saw the mischievous expression on her face when she looked at Qin Wentian. Maybe only the champion of the Junlin banquet, Qin Wentian, would be able to enjoy such treatment. Am I very old now? Qin Wentian's lips twitched. Emo Chingcheng's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian, as though she wanted to size him up. The current Qin Wentian's eyes were as clear as ever, but compared to the past, his demeanor had completely changed. He no longer had that feeling of immaturity. A year's worth of tempering had caused him to mature a lot. Not only that, in the past, Qin Wentian's emotions could be seen in his eyes. But now it was impossible to see through him. Being stared at by a great beauty like this, Qin Wentian felt somewhat unnatural. His radiant countenance had traces of shyness in it. Puchi! Emo Chingcheng silently cursed in her heart when she saw this scene. The reason why she was so close to Qin Wentian wasn't because Qin Wentian was the champion of the Junlin banquet. Other than a coincidence of good fortune, it was also because of Qin Wentian's simplicity. This was something she couldn't see in the outstanding youths of the royal capital. Ahem, junior brothers and sisters still have to sign up. Qin Wentian was a little flustered being stared at by a beautiful woman. He secretly gritted his teeth. Why was he always teased by this girl? When Emo Chingcheng saw Qin Wentian's expression, she found it even more hilarious. However, in front of others she didn't want to show it too much. After all, she was different from others because there were too many gazes on her at all times. She didn't like such an environment, but since her grandpa wanted her to come here, she had no choice but to do so. After all, she was still a young girl, and her daily life was extremely boring. She only had one close friend, Nolan. She didn't really like such an environment. It was only because her grandfather told her to come here. Senior brother Qin. At this moment, a young man was running towards them. Big Mountain wanted to stop him, but the young man was agile and he managed to slip past him. Brat! Big Mountain scolded in a low voice, but he had a smile on his face. Clearly, he did not really blame him. Senior brother? The examination hasn't ended yet. How can you be so sure that you will be able to enter the Emperor Star Academy? Qin Wentian couldn't help but reveal a gentle smile when he saw that the young man was only about 15 years of age. He was younger than him by a year when he first entered the Emperor Star Academy. The young man had a head full of delicate hair, and was dressed in ordinary clothes. His eyes were big and filled with innocence, yet filled with spirituality. When he looked at Qin Wentian, his gaze was filled with worship. Of course, I want to be the same as senior brother Qin. I want to be the champion of the Junlin banquet a year from now. How can I not be able to enter the Emperor Star Academy? The young man grinned. Keep on bragging. Big Mountain walked over and patted his head, causing the young man to scratch his head and stare at Big Mountain. Senior Mountain, since senior brother Qin can do it, I can definitely do it as well. Okay, I believe in you. Qin Wentian was extremely happy. There was finally someone who called him senior brother. Junior brother Qin, this fellow's name is Zijun. He's the same as you, hailing from Sky Harmony City. He's a genius, and his first astral soul originated from the third heavenly layer. The academy had already been paying attention to him, but who would have thought that this little rascal would be so arrogant? Big Mountain laughed. Although he was cursing and swearing on the surface, one could tell that he was extremely happy. Such a genius was extremely rare. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. No wonder this fellow would worship him. So it turned out that he was also from Sky Harmony City. And from the way Big Mountain seemed to like him, it seemed that he wanted to teach this little rascal a lesson after entering the academy. Little fellow, work hard. Qin Wentian rubbed Zijun's head. Emo Chingcheng, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but giggle when she saw this scene. This fellow had yet to completely shed his immaturity, yet he still pretended to be so mature. How hilarious! Qin Wentian glared at Emo Chingcheng. In front of his junior brother Qin, couldn't she give him some face? Is this beautiful elder sister senior brother Qin's girlfriend? She's so beautiful. Zijun gazed at Mo Qingqing with admiration. He had never seen such a beautiful girl before. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered as he stared unblinkingly at Mo Qingqing. He didn't say anything. This time around it was Mo Qingqing's turn to feel awkward. A bashful expression appeared on her face, incomparably beautiful. Upon seeing this scene, Qin Wentian couldn't help but to laugh. The corners of his lips curled up as he looked at Zijun. It should be soon. Mo Qingqing, who was at the side, blushed even more when she heard Qin Wentian's words. She stealthily approached Qin Wentian and stomped on his foot, causing Qin Wentian to silently curse at how ruthless this lass was. Zijun's intelligent eyes flickered as he raised his fist towards Qin Wentian. Senior brother, you can do it. You too. Okay, little fellow, come with me. Mountain pulled Zijun away, but little rascal didn't forget to turn his head back and winked at Qin Wentian, causing a smile to appear on Qin Wentian's face. He really hoped that little rascal would always have such a simple and honest heart. At this moment, Qin Wentian drew in a breath of cold air. Lowering his head, he stared at the beautiful leg that was stepping on his foot. Qin Wentian bitterly smiled as he turned his head to look at Mo Qingqing, only to see her staring straight ahead with a complacent smile on her face. Indeed, it wasn't so easy to take advantage of beauties. In the direction of the Royal Academy, there were several silhouettes present. Chu Tianjiao, Yi Wuke, Xiaolan Wuchong, and the other geniuses who had defeated the Emperor Star Academy. Xiao Lan's gaze shifted towards the direction of the Emperor Star Academy, landing on Qin Wentian as he mused. This person can be considered a rare talent. Although he has some grudges with Luo Qianxiu, it doesn't hinder me from pulling him into my camp. Since this is something that will benefit me, I might as well give him a chance. Who's going over? Tell him that I wish to have a chat with him. Xiao Lan spoke in a low voice. Brother Xiao, are you referring to Qin Wentian? Chu Tianjiao's countenance stiffened. Xiao Lan nodded his head. If he's obedient, that would naturally be for the best. It would also save us a lot of trouble. Brother Xiao loves talent, but I'm afraid that Qin Wentian won't be tactful. Although Chu Tianjiao was unhappy in his heart, he quickly adjusted his emotions as a gentle smile appeared on his face. He was very clear that Xiao Lan's status in the Nine Mystical Palace was even higher than Luo Qianxiu. Previously, when he contacted the Nine Mystical Palace, he didn't expect that they would send Xiao Lan over to Chu Wuk make a trip there. Chu Tianjiao spoke to Yi Wuk. Yi Wuk's eyes narrowed, but he still nodded his head in a tranquil manner. After which, he walked in the direction of the Emperor Star Academy. Qin Wentian couldn't help but have a bewildered expression on his face when he saw Yi Wuk walking in front of him. Yi Wuk first cast a glance at Mo Qingqing, as a hint of adoration could be seen in his eyes. He had always been interested in Mo Qingqing, as he felt that only a beauty like Mo Qingqing would be a good match for him. Sadly, Mo Qingqing had always been cold to him. Qin Wentian. Yi Wuk shifted his gaze onto Qin Wentian. What's the matter? Qin Wentian stared back at Yi Wuk, as traces of coldness flickered in his eyes. There's someone who wishes to see you, and wants you to make a trip there. Yi Wuk calmly spoke, as he pointed in the direction of the Royal Academy. Qin Wentian shifted his gaze in the direction of the Royal Academy, only to see several pairs of eyes staring back at him. Among them were Chu Tianjiao, Wu Chong, and that mysterious Xiao Lan. He discovered that Xiao Lan's gaze was the calmest when he looked at him. Not only that, he was standing in the middle of Chu Tianjiao and the rest. Qin Wentian suddenly recalled that back then when the Royal Academy provoked the Emperor Star Academy, the first four were all extremely polite. Only when it came to Xiao Lan, he was extremely arrogant. On the platform, Xiao Lan was as tranquil as still water. Qin Wentian could faintly sense that the person who wanted him to go over was none other than this mysterious Xiao Lan. Who is he? Qin Wentian turned his head, as an expression of unhappiness flickered in his eyes. These people were truly arrogant. If they wanted to see him, they could just come over. Yet they directly ordered Yi Wuk to make a trip there. They had no one in their eyes. Qin Wentian didn't know that in the eyes of Xiao Lan, this was already an opportunity for him. This was a form of grace to him, Qin Wentian. After all, Qin Wentian had already formed a grudge with Luo Qianya and his son. Although Luo Tianya and his son couldn't represent the 9 mystical palace, they were still members of the 9 mystical palace. Qin Wentian had already offended the 9 mystical palace, and originally he didn't have any more chances. Xiaolan was giving Qin Wentian a chance, hoping that Qin Wentian would understand. You don't need to know, you only need to go over. Yu Wuk faintly stated. Qin Wentian could faintly guess that since this person was able to cause Chu Tianjiao to show some respect, as well as easily defeating the leader of the Heavenly Demon Alliance Xuelingfeng, this person should be the same as Luo Qianxiu from the 9 mystical palace. Mo Qingcheng furrowed her brows as though she was unhappy. Such an attitude made her feel extremely unhappy. If he has any matters, he can look for me, Qin Wentian replied, causing Yu Wuk to be stunned. After which, a cold smile akin to a sharp sword flashed in his eyes. Qin Wentian was truly courting death. After Yu Wuk returned to the Royal Academy, Xiaolan asked, "Why didn't he come over?" He said that if you have any matters you can go over and look for him. Yu Wuk stared at Xiaolan as he replied. Momentarily, a terrifying light flickered in Xiaolan's eyes. Instantly, the indifference in his eyes disappeared, replaced by a sharp glint of sharpness. Inclining his head, he shifted his gaze onto Qin Wentian once again. As their gazes met, Qin Wentian could clearly feel the coldness and loftiness in Yu Wuk's eyes. Who would have thought that such a thing would happen in a place like Chu? Xiaolan mused. If it wasn't for the unexpected news that the Azure Emperor might have left a secret in the Emperor Star Academy, he wouldn't have traveled thousands of miles from the 9 mystical palace to such a small place like Chu. The matter regarding the Emperor Star Academy has to be settled as soon as possible. I don't have that much time to waste. Xiaolan spoke to Chu Tianjiao as he turned and walked away. He was arrogant yet low profile. Outsiders had no idea that the tyrannical young man from the Royal Academy was actually an important character from the 9 mystical palace. Maybe this low profile was because of his arrogance, because he disdained to show off his might in a small place like Chu. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.